I call this meeting to order. This is a Livingston Parish Council meeting. This is August the 22nd, 2019. It's just a few minutes after 6:30 p.m. We'll now have our invocation by Mr. Bubba Harris.
I'm going to have Wayne back.
All right, let's all stand and bow our heads, please.
Brother Wayne.
Let's go to the Lord in prayer. Father, we come before you today in the wonderful name of Jesus, thanking you for your mercy, your grace, and your love for us. First of all, tonight we lift up Tommy to you, dear God, who's in the hospital tonight, who should be here. And dear Heavenly Father, we ask you to touch him and heal him, dear God, and all the others that's sick. We ask for your wisdom for this council, dear Heavenly Father, to do the work that's set before them according to your will, your mercy and grace. We pray for the delegation that's going to Washington, D.C. this week, Lord, that they might find favor in the judge's eyes, that they stand before to testify for the funds they're going after, dear God, that it might find favor toward our parish, dear Heavenly Father. And dear God, tonight we just thank you for all that you do for us. Ask that you bless our country, our president, our soldiers on foreign fields, our veterans, dear Heavenly Father, and our first responders. And we give you all the glory and all the praise for it. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. We'll ask Brother Jeff R. to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll now ask, actually it's roll call time.
You sure? You got it, right? All right.
Mr. Ard.
Here.
Mr. King.
Here.
Mr. Garlinghouse.
Here.
Mr. Talbert.
Here.
Mr. Mack.
Here.
Mr. Wascom. Mr. Liville.
Here.
Mr. Harris.
Here.
Mr. Avery.
Here. Okay. Now we'll ask everyone to silence or put their cell phones on vibrate so that we don't have any interruptions during the meeting. Public input. Anyone wishing to address any of the agenda items is welcome to do so. And the way we'll do that is you just simply raise your hand when that agenda item comes up, and then we'll call upon you, and then you can come up to the podium and you can state your name and your address, and then you can go about talking about what you'd like to talk about. Sir? We would like to limit, this is a long agenda tonight, and we would like to limit, if at all possible, the discussion to 3 minutes, and try not to repeat yourself if you can, and if somebody else before you has already discussed a particular issue that you were trying to cover, kind of hold back on that. And but everybody's welcome, and I enjoy listening to all the people of Livingston Parish help us lead and guide Livingston Parish in the right direction. Okay, so presentations. Tonight we have a representative from the Albany Alumni Association, Mr. Cody Hardy. You're welcome to come to the podium.
Thank you, Mr. Mack. Thank you, Council, for giving me the opportunity to come speak to you. We don't come here asking anything tonight. We come here kind of letting y'all know a little bit about us. We're the Albany Alumni Association, and we're a nonprofit organization. And we started it to give the children in Albany the best that we can possibly give them. We have our children are fixing to enter Albany schools and things like that. And we basically want to give them as much as we possibly can. Now, we know that funding is sometimes an issue with, school board, parish, everybody does the best that they can. But we decided that we were going to do something above and beyond what is already being done. And that's pretty much the reason why we do this. We fund all kinds of things. Anything that the school needs, We raise funds for them, and we also help them with other things. And we help the children that are in need and things like that. And just for one simple example, our first event, we're relatively new. We just started in December of last year. And our first event was a uniform drive. And we were amazed at the response that we actually got of the children that were in need. It warmed our hearts, and we were able to help them. And that has led to, we're growing. We're growing by leaps and bounds, and we're very excited. And there's a few people that I want to acknowledge tonight. We have our executive board with us tonight. First of all, my name is Cody Hardy. I am the president and the spokesman. But we also have with us tonight Ms. Jessica Hardy, if you would please stand there. She is our vice president and director of donations. And then we have Miss Lily Blora. She's back there. She's our operations coordinator. Miss Mandy Aguilar is our events coordinator, and Miss Kristen Carlisle is our director of media and marketing. And I'm going to tell you, we five really we came together, and we've done some really good things. It actually gets me a little emotional just thinking about it. But I've seen a lot of hard work, and I've seen a lot of dedication. And it took every single one of us to make everything roll. And saying that, I want to let you know about some things that are coming up. And I want to, I guess, inspire a few people that may be in here to get involved. If you don't live in the Albany community, get involved where you are. So a little bit about what's coming up. This Saturday we'll be at the Albany Open House, community-wide open house. We'll be handing out flyers, trying to get people involved. And we're trying to get our 501c3 status. We're almost there, because like I said, we're relatively new, but once we get that, we're going to open up to some bigger things. And this November, we're having something called the Hornet Holiday Market. Kind of catchy. Miss Bora came up with that. It's going to be an open market right there at the park, the J&N Park in Albany. And it's going to be just a good day, a community day, and anything kind of profits or funds that we raise, we're basically going to divide it between the 4 schools, see what they need, and then help them out. And that's going to be pretty much the focus of everything that we do. We are a dues-paying organization, but we're a little bit different. Everybody that pays dues, our dues goes directly into a separate account, and we started a scholarship fund with our dues. So people that have been through the Albany school system will get a chance to further their education. So we're really trying to help full circle from kindergarten all the way and beyond. And membership's open to anyone that was once an Albany student. But we've also expanded a little bit. We have some people that are pretty prominent in the community that like to help, and we invite them to, teachers and people that have children that go there. We understand just because you didn't graduate from our school doesn't mean you may not want to help, and we know that. So we invite anybody that wants to get involved into that. And that's really all that I had. I didn't have very much to take up your time tonight. I basically wanted to say how proud I am of all of our team that's came together and made this happen, because it really has taken every one of us. And I'm amazed at what I've seen so far and what's coming. And thank you for the opportunity to speak and bring it to the attention of the council. And I really do thank you for that. And anybody else, if you live in your community, get involved. These men up here are doing everything that they can, and they do a fine job. There's always a little more you can do, so get involved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, Cody.
Yep.
Good job. Okay, agenda item 7B. We now have Mr. Bruce Boyer here to talk about the 2020 census.
Good evening, Parish Council, and great parish of Livingston. I don't know if you guys are aware, but you guys are much larger in 2019 than we were in 2010. There's about 128,000 people here in 2010. Now you're probably going to grow up 10,000 people by prediction. I'm with the Census Bureau, and I'm here to kind of inform you guys what the census is, the 2020 census, or the decennial census is. It's a little bit different this year. This is the first time we're going to use the internet. More so than anything else. We're trying to get about 90% of the people use the internet or online or smartphone. You can also do it by phone. And you can still get if you really want to fill out the form, you can fill out the form too. Not you got a privilege of doing that form. The form is fairly short, but it's much easier than before. We use what's called a complete count committee. The complete count committee, and I recognize one of the census people who were here 10 years ago, half days ago. But anyway, the complete count committee was developed because they realized that in order to get the people to understand and to participate in the census, it has to be a trusted voice, someone that is close to the community, someone that's a leader that can help people understand how to make that census count and why it's so important. So we developed this thing called the Complete Count Committee, and I'm also your trainer type person. I asked that the council put together give a liaison that I can work with, so I can get your ideas and make sure they come into fruition, and also push the ideas back from the people and make sure that the Complete Count Committees work the way you want to do. We're going to try to achieve about 10,000. Like I said, they're going to be well organized. It's a very good project management plan, which I saw when I first came working for this. Here are some of the things that the Complete Count Committee can do. They can have subcommittees, they can have many Complete Count committees, but they take care of the government, the media, education, faith-based groups, anything that the people on the ground need to reach out, wherever you be. So we need leaders in those areas who are already there anyway. Teachers, librarians, ministers, it doesn't matter. The mom, the teen mom who goes out and takes care of the kids or the coach, anyone that can reach the people to make sure, or they already have that relationship with them, make sure that they can understand how important the census is. Well, the census has been happening since 1790. It is part of the Constitution. It is everyone's civic duty to do the census. The census counts every inhabitant of the United States. They're here, they're counted. It used to be done by the U.S. Marshals, in fact. Of course, they're too big, and now we're actually moving to online, which is kind of great. But here's the important thing. These are two numbers, and the first one I really want to do is a slide to split. $675 billion. $675 billion is distributed from the federal government and between 50 states every year. And they determine that based solely or mainly on the census. And why is this so important is that in 2010, the Louisiana, the state, initially responded only 65% of the people. And so you can imagine, and understand we went through Katrina, some other things are out there, some other addresses weren't there. So 65% of the people initially responded or self-responded to the census. Now you look at other states like Florida or Texas and something in California, some of these states increased. And so what happens is what's called, I call it a net gain effect. In other words, if they reported 70%, we only reported 65%, then they took some of our money. That money belongs here. The census is modeled as not everyone only wants it in the right place. We want the funds to come where the infrastructure is being used. So if people are living here, Livingston Parish, then we believe the money should be here in Livingston Parish. But that can't happen without people participating in the census, no matter what other things they do or don't believe about it. It is the way things are done. It also determines how many seats you have. And unfortunately, this map right there shows you where all the people went. That's in Florida after Katrina. We lost a seat. We only have 6 seats in the House now. We had 7 prior to 2010. You can blame that on the previous census person. Anyway, we only have 6 now. But I'm saying that if you think about the net gain, you realize that everyone else, every other state, is competing for this $675 billion. So they're going to try to get their census numbers up as well. But we're at 65%. We are, again, at the bottom end of bottom of the reporting. So we have a long way to go. If we can go 20%, we have real possibility of gaining this. That's just a thought. Here are some of the programs that go out there. So anyone that uses these programs that are out there, such as Medicaid, SNAP, we were just talking about FEMA, flooding, that money comes from a lot of money comes from the federal government. If the people aren't reporting those areas as the people there, that money's not going to flow back there, or at least less money's going to flow back into the parish. And what happens is that, again, you still need the infrastructure, you still need the people to report, or excuse me, the work to be done. So where does that money come from? It could easily have came from the federal government. The state may give it to you, but it may come out the parish's bank. If it comes out the parish's bank, then the parish is not able to do other things. So we would rather get this big lump sum of money from the federal government than having the money that comes directly from your pockets here. We can get it from somewhere else, let's spend some out from there. Actually, it's your money. On top of that, I said there are many other programs that are out there, but the programs are geared towards children, such as Head Start. We just came from a Head Start program in New Orleans before we came here. The Head Start and a lot of the teacher programs, they're all, WIC is one of them. They're geared towards children and mothers, and children are one of the most severely undercounted groups there are. It's estimated about 1 million children were not counted in 2010. And what happens is, if you look at those, again, if you look at the weight of that, is a lot of the programs are geared towards children. So your children are being counted, and the money's not coming to those programs, which are a large group of numbers. We talked about how census data is used in education, transportation, businesses. When they're looking, before I came here, I looked at some of the census data on here. I know how many people you had in 2010, or at least that were counted in 2010, and how many are predicted so were in 2018, 138,000. But I can see you guys are growing. Businesses see this as well. And they look at your education level, they look at everything that's out there, your infrastructure, how well you did. This is how you bring businesses back in. They're checking your data to find out whether or not this is a good place to invest. And it is, by all means, a good place to invest. We are private and confidential. I am sworn secrecy. It costs me, if I ever get convicted, for every instance, it's 5 years and $40 million. I couldn't mess up. They don't pay us that kind of thing. Anyway, we take it very seriously. I don't have the kind of money to but anyway, they take it very seriously. We are on the best servers that are out there. We monitor our data. We don't share our data with anyone. No matter what stores, and besides that, by law, we can't share that data. We can't share that data with the FBI. We can't share that data with ICE. Even if you're on 2 different programs and you report something on one program and something else on the other, we can't even report that because that's part of this. We're mandated. This is all about just counting people. How they use what other programs do is a different thing. Because we're doing it online, it's a little bit different than before. Unfortunately, no matter if you're doing it online or if someone's knocking your door, there's always someone trying to take advantage of those kind of things. Census Bureau will never ask for your social security number, your PIN number. They're not political or apolitical. We just want to have people. If they do, you need to tell people they need to call the police. Because we don't ask for that information. Every Census Bureau member that comes to your house is going to have an ID card. They're going to have identification. They will have their own laptop. They don't want to use any of your equipment or anything like that. And besides that, if you want to become a census person, we're hiring right now. They have hundreds of jobs in this area for address canvassing. It's the first wave. We just started at the full course this week. And then follow on will be the enumeration where they're knocking on the door. The address canvassing is pretty interesting because they were able to reconcile about 65% of the addresses with the post office and through satellite imagery and other databases. And the other 35% now they're knocking on doors and checking your address and asking if you have any additional living spaces there. And we also have ways that we count group homes, campuses, and things like that, the homeless. we'll work with you to make sure that everyone's counted. Like I said, our motto is to count everyone once, only once in the record. We want an accurate count. People will get a letter in the mail, will have a certain code in there, that will be your code, wherever you won't be able to count it twice. So if you have workers in Livingston Parish, at over 50% of the time, 50.001, even though they may live in Texas, they should be counted here because they're using your resources for more than half the year. Otherwise, in 1 April, wherever you are, that's where we count you. I spoke about internet, smartphone, tablet, you can do it online, phone, mail out. It's easy, it's simple. Here's some key dates there. We're right now in the education phase. We start with these committees that I'm asking the Parish Council for. We'll move on to later on to the census where we're awareness phase. About March 23rd, somewhere around there, you're start getting those letters that will actually be able to do the census online. April 1, and it's the census day. We have everyone does the census by then. After that point, we will come back and let you know, hey, you have these areas that haven't reported, you may want to give one last chance. We'll give them probably to around June, but after June, those numbers are stamped in stone for 10 years. And that's why everything's going to be based. So we're hiring, we want people to get out there, we want the word to get out, we want everyone to understand how important it is. 600 is a big number. You can imagine how much money it is that if you under-report by 1%, that's a lot of money. If you multiply that by 10 years, let alone the growth that goes along with that. And at the end of 2020, we report our numbers to the president, and then in the spring of 21, there have the reapportionment of the Congress. Like I said, we're in the education phase right now, awareness and motivation. We want to say thank you for helping us at the end. We will provide tools. There's just things I won't be able to show you now because of time. But the census, you can go to 2020 census.gov. We have all kinds of tools that are out there, maps and things you can use. And as we work as partners, I'll be able to get you more information on how you, and even how work with your IT or your data analysts to use that information. But there's all kinds of tools out there while we're partners. We can work both ways. You can leverage my ability as well as us making sure people are getting counted. Once again, excellent pay, flexible benefits. These census workers are getting paid weekly, on Wednesday. They get paid for mileage, which means mile. So I have other parishes. This one's life is somewhat compact. Cameron Parish has 5 people per square mile. So we pay a lot of miles to have one person. But we do pay for those. And there's the website for our jobs. And I'll put my information on it afterwards. I'd like to open any questions for the parish?
I just had one.
Yes, sir.
You talked about a representative from the council working with you.
Yes.
Could that be a designated position, that we maybe appoint or maybe get somebody from the parish president's administration to do it? That would be acceptable?
Yes. Anyway, and I'm glad you asked that because we don't want to structure it. We want to structure your way. So whatever works for you that's going to get the word out, I'm going to develop whatever you want. I just need one person that talks to you.
To work with you and communicate and make it all work out.
Yeah, that feeds me pizza.
Do we need to designate that? Do we need to
Really appreciate you.
Do we need to designate that person tonight? Is that?
I don't think so.
No, you don't have to designate, but you have to say that you're going to do it.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll think about it.
Shane, I'm sure you certainly qualify, so I'll recommend you do it.
Well, I think we need to talk about it and think about it. It's probably a lot of time involved, and we probably need to talk about it.
And the return on investment is big. I know there's a lot of time involved between now and especially Census Day, but the return on investment that we just talked about, 1% difference is millions of dollars.
Yeah.
So
It's a very important event. We all need to participate. We need to encourage it. Yeah. So tonight, do we need any type of resolution, or do we need some type of action tonight?
Yes, I would like you to adopt the resolution. That basically says you support the census and
Okay.
and provide pizza.
And the pizza. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay.
Glad you were hungry.
So do we have a motion on the floor to adopt this resolution in support of the 2020 United States Census? Tracy Girlinghouse made the motion. Scooter is seconding that motion. Is there any discussion from the council on this? Any discussion from the audience? No? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Really appreciate you.
Good luck. Get it all counted up.
Thank you very much. Okay, agenda item number 8. This is to adopt a resolution. This is a Series 2019 courthouse revenue refunding bonds. Mr. Jim Ryan is here to elaborate on this.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, President Roots, and thank you to Sandy Teal for helping me expedite this. I was made aware of this Tuesday. Gentleman called me Tuesday and was looking through your bonds. You have courthouse bonds outstanding. They were done in 2011, and the principal amount of $14,035,000. The interest rate on those bonds is 4.61%. If we could refinance those bonds today, which is just simply lowering the interest rate, it's not extending the term or borrowing any more money, we could do it at 3.31%. That would save you $1.3 million in debt service or $61,000 a year on the payments that you're making on the
Like it.
courthouses. So
I like it.
I called Chairman Mack and I called President Ricks and I called Sandy and asked if you could please add me to the agenda tonight. I know I missed the agenda deadline, but for $1.3 million, I figured you guys would.
We'll make an exception.
Right.
Yeah.
So do we have a motion on the floor to refinance these courthouse bonds?
Yeah.
Jeff Ard made the motion. No, I'm sorry, my bad. Jeff Averett made the motion. Jeff Ard, did you second it?
I think
Jeff
you might.
Ard seconded it. Is there any discussion from the audience on this particular agenda item? Any from the council? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Nope. All right.
Thank you. Appreciate
Thank you
it.
very much for coming tonight and explaining that and saving this parish a lot of money. Appreciate you. You got it, buddy. Okay, agenda item number 9. This is adoption of the minutes from the August 8th, 2019 regular meeting of the council. Is there any discussion from the audience on this? Any from the council? Motion. Is there a motion? Motion by Tracy Girlinghouse, second by Bubba Harris, to adopt the minutes from the August 8th, 2019 regular meeting of the council. Okay, agenda item number 10. This is to authorize the parish. Oh, we didn't vote on that. All in favor on that agenda item number 9?
Yeah, that's good.
Aye. Any opposed? No? All right, good. Thanks for keeping me straight, guys. What a great team this is.
If nobody's opposed, it kind of passes anyway.
Okay. Agenda item number 10. Authorize the parish president to sign a Part 2 of the precinct survey form received from the Livingston Parish Register of Voters Office following the 2019 annual canvass of the voter registration polls. Sandy, did you want to say something about this?
Yes, this is something that the Registrar of Voters has to do each year. He has to do a canvass to see if there are over 2,200 voters at a precinct or under 300 voters. And if there are, then we as the governing authority have to merge accordingly. And we had 6 precincts that were under 300, but luckily all of them were exempt from having to be merged into other places. But the Secretary of State's office, they have this precinct survey form, and it's got 2 parts to it, and the Registrar of Voters office does one part, and we do the other part. So the Secretary of State's office asked, can you please do the survey, and we need to authorize the church president to sign Part 2 for each one of the precincts.
Okay, well explained. Is there any discussion from the audience on this? Any from the council? So what do we need? We need a resolution.
A motion.
We need a motion to authorize parish president to sign part 2 of the precinct survey form.
Y'all make a motion.
You made a motion, Gary Talbot. Tracy seconded that motion. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No.
Oh, you on now, like you should have been there. We put stuff on you don't even know about.
Okay, agenda item number 11. This is to adopt a resolution to move precincts 3 and 3B located in Council District 1.
And 2. Oh, no, they're located in 1, but they apply to 1 and 2.
Okay.
You're right, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Whereby moving them from Friendship Fire Station located at 35455 Walker North Road to Community Chapel located at 35490 Walker North Road. Okay? Is there any discussion from the audience on that? You from the council?
I got information on
Okay, go ahead, Mr.
it.
Jeff.
Basically, the Friendship Fire Station, I think they found mold in it. They've been having some of their firefighters have been getting sick, they can't even make it through a day in the building. So they had to condemn the building, which means we can't have our voters going in there either. So this will affect precinct 3 and 3B, one of my precincts and one of Gary Talbot's precincts. There's a church that's basically right across 447 from Community Chapel. They've agreed to allow us to have the election there, so anyone that votes in the precinct, I'm sure we'll have something set up, correct, when you go across the street, to show up. So hopefully this doesn't take too long, they're gonna wind up having to tear that whole fire station down, but those here a couple of times.
Not a lot of landmarks out there, so
No.
when you drive there, you don't see it, and you look across the street.
Yeah.
It was nice of
We
them,
had 2 other churches
Hey,
to
when you
choose from.
when you get to the 4-way, it's right there.
nice of them to volunteer that.
So
Okay.
we need a
We need a resolution from you.
resolution to move precinct 3 and 3B from the Friendship Fire Station to Community Chapel, right across Walker North Road from.
Yes, sir. So that's a motion on the floor by Jeff Ard.
I'll second.
Got a second by Gary Frog Talbot. Is there any discussion from the audience? Mike already asked that. We good? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. All right. Okay, this is a public hearing and adoption of LP ordinance number 19-20. I will now open the public hearing. Sandy, can you read that ordinance, please?
Proposed ordinance 19-20. This is an ordinance as follows to wit, revoking the dedication of abandoning quitclaim in favor of Cheryl Lewis Odgerpont and Jimmy R. Lewis, a 30-foot all-purpose servitude that is about by the crosshatch portion as shown on the preliminary map showing the revocation of a 30-foot all-purpose servitude across a 2-acre tract, lot B and lot 1, located in section 7, township 9, south range 6 east, Greensburg Land District, Livingston Parish, Louisiana, by Brett J. Martin, professional land surveyor, dated May the 6th, 2019.
All right.
Do you have something to say about this?
Say that again?
Do you have something to mention about this?
Okay, well, can you go ahead and mention it now?
Yes, we were called by the engineer on this.
Uh-huh.
They're still working on it. It's not ready to be adopted.
Okay.
They have asked, could we please defer it for at least 2 months?
Sure.
So I need to look and
Okay,
see
so
what
we'll
that
go ahead and
means.
have a discussion or open up the floor in case there is some discussion, and then we'll see if we can get a motion to defer. Okay, so is there any discussion from the audience on this particular agenda item? Any from the council? Go ahead, Gary.
Sandy, would we be better off just to disregard this and have them reintroduce at a later date whenever they're ready?
If they do that and it dies, they'll have to pay their $500.
Never mind.
Yeah. Good.
If that's it, if that's it, let's just defer it 2 months, that's fine.
Unless y'all waive it.
Thank you very much for that information.
Let's just leave it like it is, and if it just defer it a couple months. I know that we've been deferring this thing for a couple months already, haven't we? That was the couple that was the brother and sister that came and spoke that have,
Yeah.
I think
It's
they're
got the
just,
stuff down the side.
yeah, I think they're having a discrepancy of how to get to a piece of property. They might not ever get it worked out. Okay.
Yeah, we can always
Okay,
do
is
it
there any
again.
discussion from the audience on this particular agenda item? Any more from the council? Okay, let's now close the public hearing. Okay, so is there a motion on the floor to defer this for 2 months
To October 24th.
to October the 24th, 2019? There's a motion on the floor by Tab Lobel, a second by Jeff Abrams.
First meeting in September.
You say October what?
24th.
Oh, October 24th. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Yep. All right. Okay. Agenda item number 13. Okay. Now, this is a public hearing and adoption of LP ordinance number 19-25. Okay. This is disclosure to prospective property owners regarding pump grinder maintenance responsibilities. Okay, we will now open the public hearing. Sandy, do you want to read this ordinance?
This is fun. This is an ordinance to add section 70-235, notification and disclosure of pump/grinder sewerage installation. The Code of Ordinances of Livingston Parish by mandating to any prospective purchaser of property the disclosure of a pump/grinder sewerage installation and the requirements thereof.
All right, thank you very much for that. Is there any discussion from the audience on this particular agenda item? All right, we have someone that would like to discuss this. Come on up.
10049 Serene Road.
You might want to repeat that real loud.
10049 Serene Road. Eric
His name?
Harold.
Got it.
How y'all doing?
Good.
All right. I want this to get passed because nobody else needs to go through the same crap. Okay. And another thing is, I want somebody on this council to give me the inspection that the parish did. I can't get it. I want it. Somebody had to inspect it. It's in the ordinance. That's all I want. That's it.
Okay, thanks for that information. Is there anybody else that would like to, okay, come on up.
Taryn Creekbaum. I live in District 1. My question is, you're going to mandate that this information be provided to a prospective buyer or a buyer, prospective property owner. Who is responsible for passing that information on? Is it the owner? Is it someone from the parish? Is it a real estate agent? Who is responsible for passing that
Is it
information
not
on?
listed in the ordinance itself?
It says, it shall be mandated that any seller of real estate containing pump grinders be required to disclose the existence of same to any prospective purchaser of property.
Right, so
But
the property.
Seller.
The
seller.
property
The
owner.
seller, okay. I think maybe that should be in the ordinance so
It
that
is.
it's clear.
It is.
It
It's
is.
clear where that responsibility lies.
Yes,
Thank you.
Any seller. Yep.
Thank you very much for that. Is there any other discussion on this particular agenda item? Anybody else that would like to talk about it? No? All right.
The only
Any
thing
fur-
I'd like to say,
Go ahead, Mr. Bub.
concerning keeping this serene place down
Yep.
there, there's nothing we can do at this time to actually help those people that already have grinder pumps and live in. And Eric and I have talked numerous times about this. But I just wanted everybody in here to be aware of that,
Not that you didn't want to, it just
Oh,
came at
that's
this
right.
time. That's right.
I wish we could.
Me too.
Ms. Creekbaum, it also says in the sentence before that, which I didn't read, it shall mandate any,
Point of order. I don't believe the councilman was going to address someone.
okay, well, okay, then, for anybody's information, it also says it shall be mandated that any real estate agent reveal and disclose the fact to any prospective purchaser when preparing any listing or purchase agreement for the sale of property containing said pumps and grinders. So the statement we made earlier that it was only the responsibility of the seller, it's also the responsibility of the real estate agent, according to the ordinance. So I just thought I'd note that, so
I think
that
it
there
was good that you clarified that.
Yeah.
so there was no
Yeah.
confusion.
So you got several
Okay,
ways of
did you
making sure.
get to
they
finish
got-
saying what you were gonna say, Mr. Bubba? You did? Is there any more discussion from the council? Come on back up.
I was not prepared to speak on this one, so I apologize if I'm not clear and concise. Okay, so I am a licensed real estate agent. That's why some of this wording is troubling for me. Because as a listing agent, I can only have knowledge and transfer information that the seller tells me. I'm not responsible. So the original responsibility comes with that disclosure, and a disclosure comes from the seller. A real estate agent cannot be the catch. You know, the what's the word? The catch.
I get
It
what
has
you're
to
saying,
start
too,
from
yes.
there.
So wouldn't it be better to have wording in there that says that in the
Thank you.
disclosure from the homeowner, that's where it should be?
I think.
And if they don't disclose it, then that's breaking the law?
Well, I mean, basically, I think, Chris, you
Hold on,
reviewed.
let's read this real quick. Okay, so it says it shall be mandated that any real estate agent reveal and disclose the fact to any prospective purchaser when preparing and listing or purchase agreement. But, Mr. Moody, correct me if I'm wrong, they'll only be able to do that if the seller provides the original documentation. There's nothing in here that says that you have to go and inspect it as a real estate agent.
To
So,
see
I
if
mean,
that's in
wouldn't that be interpreted such?
Well, we wanted to be as aggressive as we could be.
Uh-huh.
You know, anytime you sell real estate, you're under an obligation to disclose any defects. And so we wanted to make sure this was just one of the defects that got mentioned in the disclosure that's given to the purchaser. So we wanted to make sure that the realtors included that in the language.
So,
If
so
they're
basically-
provided that data?
So what you're asking, Chris, is that they amend their disclosure form that the potential
We
seller
want them
would
to
fill
inquire,
out
we
to
want them
ask whether they have a grinder pump or not?
Exactly.
And then if the guy doesn't, if the seller doesn't disclose to the real estate agent, then they would technically be held harmless at that point in time.
I mean, I think that would be a defense that the realtor had inquired appropriately and then got the information from the seller and passed it on. So we just wanted to make it a double obligation there.
We're gonna get to the hands. Okay,
Well,
All right.
maybe does it do,
go ahead.
it's okay, one of them, or whoever.
Excuse me. I'm Herb Gomez. I represent the realtors in the Greater Baton Rouge area, Livingston, Ascension, Greater Baton Rouge area. And there is a facility without passing an ordinance. If this is a problem, these types of devices, if it's a problem, it's a statewide problem. It may not just be Livingston. There is a mandated state disclosure document. You may want to just petition the Real Estate Commission to add this to the state mandated disclosure document. There is a section on sewer in it now, but it doesn't specifically mention grinder pumps. I'm not even sure what it is, but take your word, it may be an issue there. Merely by the fact that you have put this on the agenda, you may have inadvertently required made realtors responsible for it because it's now public knowledge that there's an issue with this. So anything that has a grinder pump now, they have to disclose it. So maybe a better solution is to ask, not pass an ordinance, but ask the Real Estate Commission. They can do it in short order. In fact, now's a perfect time to do it because they're preparing documents for next year to amend that disclosure document to include this type of information.
Mr. Wood, you got a recommendation on that?
What if,
Well, I mean, you certainly can do that too, but you know,
It's
the
not gonna
councilman
solve
asked me,
the-
what can you do? What can you pass
Yeah, they
to
keep
make sure
asking
that
us,
be
yeah.
required? So, I think this ordinance basically makes sure that disclosure gets added to any disclosure form.
In the parish?
Yeah, I mean, right now they ask them, what kind of sewer do you have? Are you connected to community sewer? Is there a septic tank system? This would just add one more obligation. There's a septic tank or you're on the sewer system, but as a grinder pump connected that's necessary. So right now the form just says community sewer, and that's all that's disclosed. This would create an extra level of disclosure.
And my concern is that it wouldn't necessarily make it deficient just because it has a grinder pump if it's not installed properly and things like that. A lot of people have grinder pumps and they don't have problems with them for a long, long time.
Right.
So
All it's saying
that's
is
another
You have one in place,
And
and if
that's all
something
it
goes
says,
wrong with
so the
it,
people
you're gonna be
know.
responsible for it.
Okay,
Kind of a buyer beware thing.
yeah.
Well, yeah, because, I mean, obviously, Mr. Harrell's position was he didn't even know when he purchased his house, he was purchasing a house with a grinder pump. He thought he was tied to a sewer system, and he didn't realize he had the maintenance situation gonna be involved with a grinder pump in his yard. So all his concern is that people in the future will be
No,
notified
no.
that you have the possibility of this pump that costs a couple grand in your yard to go out at any point in time, and you could be responsible for it. So, I mean, given that situation, I think this solves his immediate concerns that he has for notification. If this would have been part of the process when he bought his home, then he would have at least been notified. He could have made an educated decision whether he wanted a grinder pump or not. It might not have dealt with the deficiencies in his system, but it would at least, he would have known what he was getting into.
Right.
Yeah.
Come on back up.
Terry Creek Farm. Okay, I understand all of your concerns, and I certainly support Mr. Harrell in bringing this to the forefront. But here's where I see the problem. And I wasn't prepared to speak on this, but when Mr. Moody can correct me if I'm wrong, and I'll just be general, but my general observation or knowledge is that this council can enforce or create laws regarding citizens. I don't think you can create a law that regards my real estate license. So I think you need to take out that. That should be made, I agree, it needs to be on, we have a sewer disclosure separate and apart from the property disclosure document where it specifically talks about what type of sewer treatment is on that lot, separate and apart from the others, and it just asks you to explain what it is. So I do think, as Mr. Gomez said, it's an excellent idea that you guys confer or communicate with the real estate board to get that in our documents, but I am opposed to you making it law that binds my real estate license. I don't think you have the authority to do that. So I would want you to take the real estate title agent out of that and just make it law that disclosure must be made. And then the real estate companies or board will work to make that happen. But I don't think I should be held accountable under a Livingston Parish ordinance on my license. Thank
So
you.
Whenever you sell real estate, does the real estate agent typically go inspect the home? Or do you just sell it total?
They usually have someone go out and inspect the car, the buyer.
So,
The buyer.
I mean, I've got a business in this parish that abides by parish laws that are established. So, I mean, if I want to do business in parish, I got to abide by parish laws. So if we create a law that says you're responsible for this disclosure, then I don't know that then you're responsible. If you don't want to, then don't sell a house and live in the parish. I mean, I guess. Because if I don't want to follow the laws of the parish, I can go do business somewhere else. I mean.
Well, I mean, I can see that if this came about and someone learned that it wasn't disclosed correctly, then they could file a complaint. That complaint would be investigated. And if the realtor says, well, I asked the property owner, here's where I asked them, you had to fill out the form and ask them to disclose it.
In there.
And then so if it was disclosed incorrectly, then I think that the realtor is not
Off
to
the hook.
blame.
Yep.
It's when the realtor has been given the information and the realtor doesn't put it on the disclosure form correctly, then he or she could be responsible for the $500 fine. That's, that wouldn't affect.
But it has nothing to do with her state license.
No.
Okay.
I think it needs to go as written.
Do you want to make a motion?
I'm gonna say
One
one
more
last thing.
thing.
I think I have the answer to the problem. I don't know all the logistics and how to make it happen, but real simple. You guys are in control of what? The deed that is recorded to that piece of property. This notification should be attached to that deed. If the seller, if the listing agent, if the buying agent fails to disclose that, guess what? The closing attorney, whose job is to research that title to make sure that there are no encumbrances and transfer that title, will catch it before the act of cash sale. So it should be a burden put upon that deed and leave the real estate agents and that sort of thing out. Maybe the deed belongs to the owner of the property, so that burden can be on that owner. But for you to make a Livingston Parish law that burdens a businessman, a painter, a real estate agent, a dump truck driver, I don't think you can do that. I don't want you to do that, and I don't think other people would want that to happen. But I do believe that this disclosure needs to happen, and I think it needs to be attached to the deed. Thank you. I'm not talking on this topic.
It's okay, it's okay.
Come on up, buddy.
Start talking about the, requirements, if I would have been shown this,
Yeah.
I work around pumps, I walk around valves. If I would have saw it, any inspector worth his salt would have said it failed. It didn't even meet the requirements. The deed they want to hold me to, I never saw it until something went wrong. Where's the investigation in on this? I can't even get a paperwork saying it was inspected.
Yeah, we got you.
I understand.
I know we,
I'm going to keep on going.
yes, sir, we got it, yeah. I want to make a motion.
I'll second it.
Well, we need to
Public
find
hearing.
out if there's any
hearing,
more
we gotta
discussion
close it
from the audience. Is there any more discussion from the audience? Any more discussion from the council? We can now close the public hearing. All right, so we got a motion by Scooter King. We have a second by Bubba Harris
Sorry, Bubba, I didn't mean to steal you.
to adopt this ordinance as written. Call for the vote on this.
Mr. Ard,
Yes.
Mr. King,
Yes.
Mr. Garlinghouse,
Yes.
Mr. Talbert,
Yes.
Mr. Mack,
Yes.
Mr. Lobel, Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Mr. Averett.
Okay.
Real weak.
Agenda item number 14. This is a public hearing and adoption of LP ordinance number 19-26. I will now open the public hearing. Sandy, will you read the ordinance? We have to.
You gotta have the public hearing
Okay.
first.
This is an ordinance to amend Article 1 in general of Chapter 2 Administration of Code of Ordinances of Livingston Parish by adding Section 2-25 falsifying and misrepresentation of permit applications by establishing penalties and revocation thereof.
That's okay.
Okay, is there any discussion from the audience on this particular agenda item? Yes, sir, you're the first one to come up. Don't forget to state your name and your address.
I know that dude. DJ.
Thank you very much for that information.
My name's James Camp, and I live in Mr. Harris's district. And I've been kind of following this one, and I hope you'll bear with me. I'm not a very good public speaker, that's why I type everything, and that way I can just read it. I believe we're all aware of a recent case of someone pulling a residential permit and using that permit to proceed to build what is obviously a commercial size unit, housing unit, that as I understand it would be used as a dormitory facility to billet migrant workers that are held to be in the country on visas for the purpose of performing work for that business. Clearly, we're not aware of Chapter 110, building and permitting regulations, typo in that, Article 1, Section 110-7 of the Livingston Parish Code of Ordinances, which already provides a remedy for improperly constructing a commercial facility without the proper permits in the form of a double permit fee being assessed for the project. I hold that obtaining a residential permit, even in error, is still a failure to obtain the proper commercial permit prior to inspection requirements. I further hold that unless that penalty, a double permit fee, has been assessed, the business in question continues to stand in violation of our code of ordinances. regardless of efforts to obtain the proper permits. If any additional penalties are to be prescribed by this council as remedies in addition to what we already have, I believe it would be far more correct to amend the current section than to create a new one separate, a new one and separate section, which would serve only to scatter the information to the wind so that following it or finding it would become more difficult. I've included a copy of this section of our Code of Ordinances below for your review. And the 2-page document, second half's on the back. It already, in section H, provide what the penalties are. I would suggest that if you're gonna build new penalties to add to that or change it, then do it here. And my reason for that is twofold. For one thing, it puts all the information in one place. The other thing it would do is it would prevent the possibility of some attorney later on in life looking around and deciding that since there's 2 areas that describe what the penalty is for this infraction, you probably ought to only just hold them to one. So if your real goal is to make the penalty stick, do it here.
It's not a bad idea.
The only thing that's just pertaining to penalties. My whole deal is just fixing the problem and giving a way to get through when you find somebody has erroneously asked for a permit. We had this says penalties. The penalty is the least of the worry. I get where Mr. Camp is saying we should put it. I think Mr. Moody, were you one that told us where to put this, or did Sandy, you just researched it and thought that'd be the best place? So it's okay if we was to move it into a different place. That ain't a big deal.
Don't you want to defer it anyway?
Yeah, I'm gonna defer it anyhow, but we gotta have the public hearing. But my thing is, it's not so much the penalty, it's the idea of the steps that they have to take by pulling the permit, by going back to the beginning. The penalty is just there because if you don't have teeth in it, people go, well, it ain't no big deal. And I see that there is penalties that you won't. James,
Is there any more discussion from the audience?
James,
Come on up, James.
Well, I personally agree that the penalty, especially in a case like this, when you're addressing a business of that magnitude, that's chump change. If they stand to save tens of thousands or perhaps millions of dollars by getting away with it, and the only penalty's a few dollars if it gets discovered, they have no motivation to do it right to begin with. So if there's gonna be a penalty, it needs to have teeth.
Yeah.
My concern, again, is if you put in a penalty somewhere that does have teeth, and it's over there,
Right.
and somebody comes back and says, oh, no, it's already addressed right here, we're just gonna assess the double permit fee.
I agree. Well, that's why I'm glad you brought this up, because that's why we want to put it off for 2 weeks, because I didn't want to put it in place and then have to fix it. So we're going to talk with the parish president, with some more legal counsel, and get it right before we actually push it through. And it's just what the process will be when you find that someone has, on purpose, not just accidental, or the permit office told them they needed this and it was something else. There's a whole bunch in there. That ain't what that's about. And it didn't pertain to any particular thing. We've been talking about this for 3 years, that if you've gotten any permit, it's not a building permit, it could be any permit, a liquor license, anything like that. If you do it and you lie, that's what it's about. Do it the right way. So yeah, I'd like to put it off for 2 weeks to the September.
Well, let's see if there's any more discussion from the audience.
Okay.
Is there any more discussion from the audience on this particular agenda item? No?
Nope.
All right. Any more discussion from the council? All right. We will now close the public hearing on agenda item number 14. And so we have a motion on the floor to defer this. Do we need a motion? We need a motion
Yeah.
to defer
Not
this?
really.
You really don't, but you can if you want to.
We might as well.
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Scooter makes a motion to defer this, how long? When we gonna do
2
this?
weeks.
2 weeks from today.
So September 12th.
Yep. Mr. Bubba seconds this motion. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Thanks,
Nope.
Jeff.
All right.
So you're resetting the public hearing.
We're gonna reset the public hearing
September
15 days
12th.
from today.
Already out.
All right, agenda item number 15. This is gonna be the parish president's report.
Well, there's nothing worse in the world than to imagine a child not being able to eat. And we are so blessed in Livingston Parish since I believe 2010 to have mighty moms who I know most of you know by now carry the load for us and going around trying to prepare and make sure. I want to do a proclamation basically proclaiming September the 4th, 2019 as Childhood Hunger Awareness Day. And if you would come up, I'm going to have you come up and I'll read this, and she may want to say a couple of words. You're going to have to take the glasses off of you. Whereas statistics are that 1 in 5 children in the United States goes to school hungry. And whereas 35% of households of Denham Springs live on $35,000 or less annually. And whereas statistics like these moved a prayer group of dedicated moms praying for their children, friends, teachers, and members to turn their thoughts and prayers to ways they could stop hunger, help children and families in their community. And whereas those dedicated moms found Mighty Moms in 2010 to end childhood hunger in Livingston Parish, and whereas Mighty Moms adopted the vision statement to see all children graduate with full minds and full tummies, and the mission statement, nurturing hungry children to success. And whereas today Mighty Moms is a 501c3 organization which organizes programs for children in our community to provide food and hygiene products through Full Tummy Project, the Food Pantry, the Barrel Project, and the Feeding Young Minds Project. Now therefore, I, Leighton Ricks, Livingston Parish President, in recognition of the commitment, faith, and love of Mighty Moms, do hereby proclaim September 4, 2019 Childhood Hunger Awareness Day in Livingston Parish, and urge our community to educate themselves on the impact that childhood hunger has in Livingston Parish, in our schools and neighborhoods, and to support the efforts of Mighty Moms through prayer and donations. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for all of you.
Thank y'all so much, and thank you. He's been a friend of ours even, from the very get-go, so we appreciate that. And really, who would have thought 10 years ago when Dawn and I first started together, all we did was come together on Monday mornings, pray for our kids, and it's grown in that 10 years into not just nurturing our own kids, but nurturing the kids in this community. So it's been such a blessing to be able to do that, but honestly, what's been so amazing in these past 10 years is the community that we live in, Livingston Parish. Y'all have been so on board with everything that we've ever tried to do and accomplish. And without all of y'all, and without the generous people that live here to give to Mighty Moms, we wouldn't be mighty. It wouldn't be anything that we could do on our own, because it is absolutely just a parish collaboration, definitely. And I'm so excited that the leaders that are in this community are really investing in the future leaders of Livingston Parish, because that's what our children are. And for them to really see that from y'all and from Mr. Leighton, from all the other people, the awesome leaders that we have in our community. I mean, there is no better place to live than Livingston Parish. And I was not born and raised here, but I will never leave, because the love and the commitment that everybody has for our parish is amazing, and you see it daily. So, and childhood hunger awareness is our passion, but honestly, the thing that keeps us going year after year is to show God's love and give these kids hope in our community. And it's partnerships like with y'all and with all the other people that are in this community that make it happen and make it continue to grow. And so it's an honor to serve alongside of all the people and leaders in Livingston Parish to help the children of our school system and help the kids to grow into being the next kids that are going to sit up here one day and be our leaders. So thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
All right.
I used to work for Gulf Coast Teaching Family Services part-time through Scott Pearlie's District Attorney's Office. And the reason I got so behind Mighty Moms when they started is my job was to monitor kids that were on probation and parole for a certain amount of time, and I had to go visit them every day. And I did not realize, this was in 1998 through 2006 or 7, I believe, 2008. I did not realize what in this modern world some kids are having to live in. Trailers with no electricity, no water. Kids sleeping on mattresses with no sheets in the middle of the floor in a den with no front or back door. Right here in Livingston Parish. So when I watched Dawn and them grow their program, it's just been amazing what they've done and how many kids they've been able to help. So I just really appreciate what they've done. I've watched them cry, I've watched them pray, and I watched them smile when they were able to give kids things. So anything anyone can do to help donate to them, to allow them to move their mission further, is a blessing for you in return. Wanted to just update you real quick and remind you that next week, Mark and I will, with others, will be traveling, as well as with Chris, to DC for the arbitration. We firmly believe in 2016 our roads suffered a lot of damage, and FEMA did not agree. So we are at a disagreement, but we're going to DC to fight for our funds. We think we're prepared, we think we're ready, and I appreciate Brother Wayne's prayers earlier, because we think we're right. We think this should not fall on the taxpayers' backs in Livingston Parish, because we didn't cause this flooding, and it spared no one, and it certainly did not spare our roads. So be in prayer for us that we'll be successful and everyone will come home safely. Thank y'all, council. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Y'all be safe.
Well said. All right, agenda item number 16. This is Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness. Mr. Mark Harold, come on up to the podium, pretty please.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Mr. Chairman, Council. My name is Mark Harrell. I reside upstairs most of my life. No, we have one more project on our hazard mitigation funding, the Amid River Diversion Canal Weir that was finally funded. We went out for the bids the proper way. We had one response. As you know, and I've said numerous times, you have to have it at least 3. So we had to re-advertise. Took us another month. We did get 3 competent bidders, and the team scored everything, and let me know that Fort Tablata was the high score in that. So I'm coming to you tonight asking for a resolution authorizing the parish president to sign a contract so we can start engineering. Only phase 1 is approved. Once the engineering is over, we go after phase 2 funding.
Okay.
What is phase 1?
Phase 1 is strictly engineering, environmental, all of that, and then we'll get phase 2.
Just a plan. Okay, so we have a motion by Tab Lobel.
What exactly does the resolution need to say to make that happen?
Oh,
Does it
just
need to
that
say
you're
amount?
authorizing the parish president to sign the contract.
So do they need to say the amount or?
No, ma'am, not on this one. This one's not as tough as the last one we did. Every
Okay, so we got a
grant,
motion on the floor.
every funding source has different qualifications.
By Tab Lobel, adopt this resolution. Second by Jeff Averett. Is there any discussion from the audience on this particular agenda item? Nope. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No.
Right.
All right.
Let me add one more little thing. We just did
Go
get a
ahead.
letter today. District 5 Fire Department.
Yeah.
That's you?
Mm-hmm.
All right, just
Me
so
and
you
John.
know, we did get approved to build a safe room on the inside of their 2 fire departments that flooded.
Okay.
FEMA didn't give them the funding to really build it back properly. So we got notice today that we're gonna be able to build safe rooms and complete
On the Myers Road and 190?
Myers and, I don't know which, don't make me lie, I know Myers is one of them.
Yeah, I know they've
That
been
was the
holding
main
up
one,
on
yeah.
that waiting. Okay, good.
Yeah.
That's nice.
So that'll come up. We're going out for bids on that in a week or 2.
It's close to the house. I can get to there.
Okay. Thank y'all, but that's just one.
Appreciate you,
Thanks,
Mr.
Mark.
Moore.
Appreciate
Have a
you.
good day, buddy.
Thank you, Mr. Harrell.
Y'all be careful.
Can I just state for the record that
You
Mr.
can.
Mark Harrell and his employees and staff are wonderful neighbors, and that we really adore them and appreciate all that they do. They are wonderful neighbors.
Y'all gotta start having parties or something.
That is
Y'all too
fantastic news. That is fantastic news.
And we love them.
You gonna make his head swim very
quiet. I know,
good.
somebody get the hood. Hey, you too, brother. Y'all be safe.
I knew with a good counsel that you could,
He could step up his
you could
game.
step it up and become, good. I knew there was
You too,
good in
brother.
you.
Put that water back down there, you remember like God intended.
Okay,
Oh, that ain't right.
how's everybody doing?
I think I need to.
Okay, agenda item number 17. This is to accept Training Center Boulevard into the parish maintenance system. Mr. Tracy Gerlinghouse is here to
Yes.
cover this.
Yeah, sure. The road that they used to use to go into the training center, really is did not belong to the parish. So whenever they lost access to it, they had another avenue cut straight out where, that actually belonged to the parish. So they went in and did the foundation and everything. So we had to name it, so we gave that new little avenue name, I think a month or so back. We called it Training Center Boulevard.
Yep.
I'd like to bring it into the maintenance system, so I'll make a motion.
We got a motion by Tracy Gerlinghouse to bring this Training Center Boulevard into the parish maintenance system. Second by Bubba Harris. Is there any discussion from the audience on this particular agenda item? Come on up.
I'm just wondering, is Training Center Boulevard in its current condition in compliance with all of the requirements that it's supposed to be before the parish receives a road into the maintenance system?
Yes, sir.
Where is that road at?
Do you remember how you used to go in to the training center?
I don't know what training center
Hey,
you're
well,
talking about.
if you go down the avenue like you're going into Woodside.
Landfill.
Road, the landfill.
Okay.
The road got peeled off that actually, I think, if I remember, if I'm correct in this, that actually still belonged to Woodside. They just allowed them to back into. They, I think it ran close to some buildings they wanted to use. And so they graciously, they took it, but I think they allowed them to, they had it built them another little avenue on a piece of property.
Yep.
So they went in.
We gave them standards.
And they built it that to their standards, so.
Okay.
All right.
Yep. Yep. Any more discussion from the audience on this? Any more from the council? We've got the motion and a second. All in favor? This is for the training center boulevard. All in favor? Any opposed? None. All right. It's in. Okay, agenda item number 18. Now this is the introduction of an ordinance to adopt Envision Livingston comprehensive master plan for the parish of Livingston. Tracy, would you like to talk about this one also?
Sure. I'm not quite sure that it's Envision Louisiana.
My bad.
That bad, but yeah. All right, so when we
You're right.
when we first brought this up, I just for the sake of just being honest, I felt and talking with certain entities, it would have been easier to just reboot the whole master plan. Now, in retrospect, after looking at how we go about, how we should go forward in doing so, you run into a situation where you have to try to get grants for each section of this. That will take time. At one point, you could have something finished. So let's say you might have the zoning part finished, but the drainage part might not. And then later on, the sewer part was added to it, which probably won't be. This will prolong this process in the best of conditions if you can get the funding and the grants, all that in place. Basically takes more time than I think that we have, or I'm at least I'm willing to wait.
Yeah, I got you.
And I also believe that doing all of that will put a lot of responsibility on a board, which quite frankly belongs on us. That's what we're elected to do. We're elected to make those decisions. And then logistically, it has to pass through them. They have to argue over it, and then it comes to us, and then we argue over it. So at the end of the day, we were elected to do this. We were elected to make these decisions. So, and I think cost-effective wise, we adopt the master plan as is, as an ordinance. And then we work on each piece individually.
I get you. Yeah.
So, I would like to make a motion
Okay.
make a motion to adopt the.
So we have a motion on the floor by Tracy Gerlinghouse to adopt Envision Livingston Comprehensive Master Plan. Now, this is the master plan that was actually,
To the 2013, the original, yes.
yeah, the 2013, I guess you could say developed, implemented
And
by
also,
the previous council.
No, it was adopted by resolution.
Yeah, adopted by
which is
resolution.
non-binding. I'm making a motion that we, as an introduction, to adopt it by
As
ordinance.
an ordinance.
And I still believe that said, master plan needs major adjustments.
True.
But we adopt as is, I guess, a shorter way, and then we make the adjustments as we go, as a council.
Right.
Not secondhand, not anything.
Correct.
We do.
We do.
It can be
Okay.
modified. It's a plan.
It's a
It
work
doesn't
in
mean
progress.
that
We can work
Livingston
it.
Parish has to be developed specifically like that, it can be modified, it's just the beginning, it's just a plan right now, right? Okay, so Tracy made a motion, we're gonna get you. Let's go ahead and ask anybody from the audience if they would like to, talk about this.
Get him a second.
Y'all wanna get a second
Yes.
first? Okay. Is there a second on the floor to adopt this, comprehensive master plan? Bubba Harris seconds the motion. Okay, coming up, Mr. Gerald Burns. I like your purple shirt.
My name is Gerald
That's
Burns,
pretty
and I'm on the master plan committee, and the committee members elected me chairman, and several members asked me tonight to come and speak on this issue. Look, we commend you for what you're trying to do, okay? And I think one of the things we really need to push on the master plan right now is zoning, okay? And I think it's time. Let me say that since 2012, 2013, we have had a minimum of 30 developments, commercial, multifamily developments come before the planning commission that's in residential areas, a minimum of 30. So if this plan had been adopted in 2013, most of those would have been denied. So it's time that maybe we do that, but let me point out the master plan committee, of course, we got a cross section of the community. We have got some good people on our committee, and I think that most of them have, collectively, we have the big picture of Livingston Parish, and growth and zoning and so forth. But we've worked hard. We've had 4 meetings, and one meeting was canceled for lack of quorum. We did bring Mr. Ricky Compton, who is the previous planning director of Ascension Parish in, and talked for an hour about how they done zoning and how we can do zoning. So we have talked about zoning in our committee meeting, but we're at an impasse. We need money to implement the master plan, period, or update the master plan, or carry out any part of the master plan. Now, if you accept the master plan as is, that doesn't get you to where you want to go, because I'm told by Ms. Lynn Maloney, who actually helped write the original master plan, and also Mr. Mark Harrell on two occasions, that you can't do zoning by itself. You can't get grant funding strictly for zoning. You have to get grant funding to update the master plan, which includes zoning and sewer and drainage and so forth. But you have to have the master plan updated. Then you can have money taken for zoning. But you can't do zoning by itself and get grants for it. That's what we're being told. So, but I do commend you for trying, but there's a method to this madness, okay? And so we worked real hard to get where we're at, and we, Mr. Mark Harrell in July was supposed to come before our committee, and bless his heart, he was sick. He had a setback with his injury in his throat, so, but he did come in August the 6th, and for an hour and a half he explained to us in detail how the process works. And you got to have a 25% match on anything you do, so no matter what it is. So at the end of the meeting, he says we should go to the administration and seek that 25% funds. And I did that, and I went and we talked to Mr. Leighton Ricks about it, and at the time, he says, at the present time, he doesn't have any money for matching funds to update the master plan by itself, which would be about $250,000. So the match there would be $62,500. He doesn't have it, nor for a master drainage plan for the parish, which is so necessary. So back in July the 11th, the master plan committee unanimously approved a letter that I signed, and Ms. Sandy sent it out on July the 11th, asking you, the council, to help us find some funds to do the master plan. My point is, we've been working very hard, very, very hard, and doing what we can do, but we're in the impasse. So we need 25% matching funds for Mr. Mark Harrell to move forward on securing grants for them. So we need to find the matching funds. How do you get that? I don't know, but we need to move forward with it. But
we're gonna get the money.
Sorry?
So we'll get it. We'll get the matching.
Well, my point is, I guess if we had the money to do what we want to do, we can do it for you. That's what you charged us with, the responsibility to update the master plan and do start the zoning process and the drainage study process. So if you want us to continue with it, we'll do it. We'd be glad to do it, but we need money. So that's where we're at.
All right.
So.
Well said. Appreciate that.
Well,
Thank you, Mr. Carroll.
Don't question, y'all have worked hard on this. I mean, I know for a fact you have. I mean, I've seen you was working hard on it before you were ever.
I've worked hard. I've been on this for years,
yes,
Mr. Tracy.
Years and years.
I've seen the charts. I've seen the stuff.
I would like to see better communication between the master plan committee and the council. And if you want us to continue on this road, and I would like to get on the agenda for at least one meeting a month for the parish council to give you an update on what we're doing and where we're at and what we need, so we can be in communication to get. This is going to be a long journey. It's not going to be done overnight. You can't just wave a magical wand and do zoning. You can't do that. Once you get the plan updated, the plan calls for the parish to hire a professional full-time planner. Then you got to hire an engineering consultant to update the plan. You got to prepare the maps. You got to have public hearings. Now, in 2012 and 2013, I know Winston Associates done approximately 15 public hearings in this parish. And I was the chairman of the planning commission, and we done 3. So there was 18 public hearings. So you have to have public hearings with the public, and you got to do that to garner support. And they did that back in 2012 and 2013. So you don't want to just implement zoning without public input, because I'm going to be honest with you, it could be a disaster. So let's do it right. Let's do it the way we did it then, and let the public buy into this. So I think if you explain it to the public in detail, they'll buy into it.
Yes, sir.
So I guess my question is, if you want us to continue on, we'd be glad to do that. And we got some hard-working people on our committee, and
Yes, sir.
a good cross-section of the community, okay?
I agree.
Thank you, Mr. Gerald.
Thank you for that information, Mr. Gerald. Thanks for that update. Okay, is there anybody else? How about the nice lady in the black dress?
This is,
Okay, Deidre Sellers, District 6. I am gonna 100% agree with you this evening. This needs to be adopted as ordinance. I was up here arguing 4+ months ago that it was my view that the language of the master plan was clear and that nothing should be done that was outside the stipulations of the master plan. What does that cost? Nothing. It says, future parish council decisions regarding growth and development shall be consistent with a comprehensive master plan, or the plan should be amended via the process outlined in the plan. None of that was done. So, y'all made a committee of some great gentlemen and ladies, and we've just kicked the can down the road some more. You want to talk about drainage, you want to talk about flooding, sewer, all of these problems, and then you want to stack on some more. That's ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense. You need the funds to stop stacking on? No, we've already paid for it. Just stop doing it and make the decisions based on what this says. I know there are some changes that have happened, but absolutely Mr. Girlinghouse is right. This needs to be adopted as ordinance, and we need to follow it and make future decisions based on the money we have already put out there.
I got a question. I got one question. I got a question. What if you don't agree with everything that's in the master plan and you think that it does need to be modified in order to develop Livingston Parish the way you think it should?
Then it needs to be amended via the process outlined in the plan.
I agree. And that's what we're trying to do. Is there anybody else? Come on up, Ms. Creekbaum.
Call her the nice lady in black.
You could have said the nice lady.
I told James, I said, well, the lady in white is
I didn't know her name. I didn't know her name.
It's not called.
She has me on her side when she walks in and says she's 100% agree with me.
Taryn Creekbaum, I live in District 1. I am in support of the adoption by ordinance of Envision Livingston Comprehensive Master Plan for Livingston Parish. However, I would, easy.
We're out of time.
However,
We're out of time.
I would like the council to state tonight what the next tangible, physical, real step will be after its adoption. Thank you.
I'm gonna get a beer.
So you're talking about
what
which
do you
thing are we
mean?
gonna do first? Which item are we gonna attack first? Which part of the master plan we're gonna attack first? Or
I think that's what she's meaning.
is that what you mean, Mr.
You
Creekbaum?
can't ask her that.
Do your point of order. Don't.
Just,
I can't answer.
Yeah.
I'm unsure which one.
Yeah, you got it.
Led to major problems.
we're very
That's fine,
unorthodox.
but I can't answer it until I know what I'm answering, so.
Okay. Is there anybody else that would like to talk about this agenda item?
Oh, look, now she come and see you.
I will
Creekbaum, go
step to
ahead.
the podium just for clarification.
Okay.
You're going to adopt the master plan as it is tonight.
No, ma'am, we're not. We're going to to introduce.
I'm sorry, introduce. I am corrected. You're introducing. Our whole goal will be, and I support getting to the adoption, and that's what I said. I support that. I do support the process. So in 2 weeks or whenever it is that the public hearing is here and we adopt this ordinance by ordinance, what is the next step? The next step, not, and I said tangible, physical, real step, not a discussion. What's the next step? Do you pick up that plan and bring it to the Planning Commission and set it beside the Livingston Parish Code of Ordinances and say, when reviewing projects that come before you, you should refer to this as well? Do you put it in front of each one of you, and during the ordinance committee or special committee meetings that you might make, you guys get down to the real hard task of implementing that master plan as it is in Vision Livingston by ordinance. And those are just my suggestions. So, and if you have real other steps, those are just my suggestions. I would want to know what your next real tangible step with that master plan will be after its adoption.
Well, I think.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think that
There may be
it's a
several
very-
answers, but go ahead, Tracy, you go ahead.
I was gonna say, it's not just one issue.
Right.
I mean, it's all nicely packaged under one issue called the master plan of Vision Livingston, but it is several heavy subjects crossing a variety of things, from drainage to zoning to, I personally am going to go after zoning. That is my personal task when it comes to this master plan. I plan on being in Mark Harrell's office the next morning, or actually before then, preemptively, because I don't think this is going to go 9 to 0. I mean, I wish it would, but I don't think this is going to be a 9-0 vote putting this through. But I'm going to be in Mark Harrell's office and going, what do we need to do? Where do we need to go? What kind of money? Where can we get a grant to start this, to do this part? I understand what Mr. Burns has stated. He stated that you can't do that on its own.
Is this primarily the I-12 corridor?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
And the-
But that whenever you adopt it, that will pretty much be where you have to go from that point. We want to amend it.
Well, Tracy, I mean, and Tab, here's some concerns for those of us that that represent areas outside the I-12 corridor, is once you crack down on what's going in the I-12 corridor, do you start getting the things in your area that don't fit what's in the corridor? And so you start getting stuff that you normally wouldn't get, that the people in your community might not want. So the concern is when you create zoning along the corridor, then those areas outside of it, those things that are non-conforming start coming to your district. So those things that, those are gonna be my concerns. Who's gonna wanna come to Watson with stuff that they would normally put in the corridor but can't go there anymore because we now have zoning? What's gonna come to Watson, and then we say, oh, they're not asking for a waiver, so we've got to approve it. So I mean, that's the concern about not zoning the whole parish. And so I mean, I'm not saying that I'm against it. I'm just saying, if you want to talk about the concern about zoning, that's my concern, is that if we do part of it, it leaves everybody that's outside that area subject to the crap that doesn't fit inside that area.
And to be clear, I intend to zone every square inch of District 7. Every square inch. Period.
But the problem is, when we talk about implementation of the master plan, it doesn't address. I mean, I don't think every square inch of District 7 is in the corridor. I mean, that's my concern.
I think that everybody has, their own view what our first step should be. But to me, the first step is to allow that committee that we created revise the master plan such that it benefits the development of Livingston Parish the way that we all agree it should. You know, to me, that's the first step.
And that's not my opinion.
Okay? And, so, Mr. James, do you have something to say?
But having it implemented by ordinance,
come on
that
up.
means now we can attack and do what we want to do. For the people want to do, not just us.
I just want to say that when it comes to zoning or a lot of other aspects about the parish master plan, I've got mixed emotions on it. On many levels, I'm vehemently opposed to having a government agency telling me or any other people what they can and can't do on property they own. On the other hand, you can't hardly go a month without having a group of citizens banging on your door, mad at some project you approved, wanting you to say they can't build that in their backyard.
Thank you for acknowledging
You're gonna lose either way you go. Now that said, this parish already went out and sought grants, spent, if I'm not mistaken, $1 million or more. I know it was a bunch of money. It's been 6 years, but it was a lot of money. And as the gentleman with the Census Bureau, he's not there anymore, said earlier, even though those are federal dollars, that's my money too. If we aren't going to take that plan and do something with it, those are wasted dollars. And if we're just going to waste those dollars and try to start over, then I'm going to personally oppose any effort to go out and get grants because, you know, we already wasted this money once. So, the way I see it, you got two ways you can go and make me happy. We can either take that master plan, get rid of it, and give up on the idea, or you can implement it and make the modifications that you feel need to be made. But don't take that millions of dollars that we spent and just throw it away. As far as, you know, whether all the people in your district might or might not have been well represented. I can remember when they were working on that thing, they had town hall meetings all over this parish. If those folks didn't get represented, at least by and large the most of them, it's because they didn't bother to go to the town hall. I went to several of them.
Didn't matter to them, that's right.
So,
Appreciate that.
that's my
Yep.
2 cents worth on it.
Appreciate you.
Thank you, sir.
I got several issues with the current master plan. I don't think it really goes into any detail in any way, shape, or form about a master gravity drainage plan. I don't agree with the current way that the current master plan zones Livingston Parish. I think there needs to be major modifications. If we want to go ahead and adopt this as is, and then, you know, as a general idea, and then make modifications, hey, so be it, you know, but there's major issues with the current master plan. So is there anybody else from the audience that would like to say anything to this particular agenda item? Come on up, Mr. Larry.
Larry O'Neill, and I'm on the master plan committee also. The gentleman said that was just, we're gonna throw the old one away and just start anew. That's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to enhance the work that's already done, just bring it up to 2020 standards versus 2012 standards. And once we've started doing this kind of work, you, the council, have thrown other things on top of us that, you know, wasn't on the initial plans. So you outline what we do, and we'll try to work with what you tell us to do. But, you know, don't say we, you know, throw it all out the window and then us go 2 months, or us keep going and 2 months down the road and say, well, we want you to do something else besides what we initially envisioned you to do. You know, you either want us to do our work or you don't want to do the work, period.
I'd like you to do it. I'd like you to do it, Mr. Larry.
I would like to say something to that too. You're absolutely right. But this council, as it, I guess at times doesn't speak as one voice. I feel like that it was used as a means to not address certain issues, either improperly or properly or whatever. It's dumped on y'all. That wasn't my intention from the beginning. I'm just trying to not let that happen. everybody here on this council, when we bring something to them, they're gonna live and die by that answer when it's brought to them. So unfortunately, I think that to some degree, y'all were used as a means to not have to address something at that moment.
And that's my thoughts also. A lot of these issues that's going through the master plan, we are all volunteers. We're
Sure.
spending our time and our money doing this work. Of course, you've got a couple of council members on it. You guys get paid to do the hard work. And you're dodging a lot of the issues by not addressing the issues. You just say, well, let's go throw it over here, let's throw it over there.
Well, that's not.
Let's kick the can down the road somewhere.
That's what I'm trying to address right now. We're going, look, this,
What specific issues are we referring to here?
Well, zoning.
Zoning, that was one of the reasons
Yeah.
that it was actually created,
Yeah.
was to fix.
So some of these things that don't, are not being addressed here in the council. Some of the things can't be, some things need to go through the committee. But give us your overall view of what you want us to do, and we will try to do it.
I would have been at that last meeting, but somebody on the council threw a party and I thought I should attend. I just want to throw that out there. But for the most part, you're right. We do need to try to attend and assist and try to do everything within our power to help y'all go in the right direction.
Thank you.
I think there's an underlying ideology that you don't want to make changes. They want to just continue the way we're doing things. We cannot continue to do things the way we've been doing things.
But
that is what's got us where we're at.
Exactly.
Thank you, Tracy.
We need to look at the future, don't look at what the past.
That's right.
We
So-
can't keep doing the same bad things over and
You
over
should
again.
only look back
Yeah.
at what happened to reference what you don't need to do again. Doing nothing is the worst thing you can do. And actually, passing it on is doing nothing. I think the amount of work that y'all, as before today, or that you've been asked to do, is essentially more than you're doing all the heavy lifting for us, and that's not fair. That's our job. And it's my personal thought that we were elected to make heavy decisions, to make decisions that gets us out of the predicament that we're in, drainage, the infrastructure, traffic, all those things. We've, I think years and years of just not acting has caught up to this parish in an epic manner. And it's more so like on the Dennis Springs, the Watson, the Walker side, because that's what all the development is for the most part. I understand, the lack of not wanting to make major changes, in like in Mr. Mack's district, because they don't have the issues that we have. They don't have the problems that we have.
Not yet. It's coming.
Well, our position is, you guys chose us to do this.
I did.
You guys tell us
In my position, I did
if you want us to continue doing it or not.
I did choose y'all to do that, but I didn't choose the amount of work that you're being expected to do now to happen.
We don't have a problem with that.
Yeah. Well, but I, as a councilman, do, because that's my job.
Okay. All right. Let y'all discuss.
Okay. Thank you.
Tracy, I just want to say one thing, and then we're going to call on anybody else that wants to talk. But isn't the master plan a plan to develop Livingston Parish properly, such that, you incorporate zoning the way the plan's laid out? You develop a good gravity master drainage plan. The infrastructure plan, that's laid out, is supposed to be a well-developed plan, to help us make good decisions going forward to develop Livingston Parish. Sewer is another big issue in Livingston Parish, community sewer collection, and how we proceed in that direction. To me, everybody's got their own opinion. To me, that was the whole intent and purpose of creating that committee, was to enhance and develop that plan so that we could develop Livingston Parish properly. I don't see where we dumped anything on anybody. I think they're doing a pretty fair job. I think what a lot of us fail to realize is their job is not easy, and it will take the amount of time that it takes to get it right. And the statement to, you got to do something. Well, no. What we need to do is do the right thing to get it all right.
What is
and we
that?
need to, let's give them time to determine what is right. Okay, is anybody else from the audience want to say something? Anybody else? Come on up.
Deidre Sellers, District 6. Again, I'm going to ask you to follow with Mr. Gerlinghouse in adopting this ordinance, because it seems to me that what you're doing with the committee, although they're a great group of people and they have worked really hard, is in fact just kicking the can down the road. It's not getting anything done. We need to start somewhere and do something. And I believe you will have the support of your people behind you once you make a move. But when you continually pass the buck over and over and over again, you have people saying, oh, well, they're not doing anything about drainage. They're not doing anything here. They're not doing anything there. The point of the master plan was to get it right and to get it planned out. And all of these perceived problems that Mr. Talbot is talking about that may affect him down the road are things that we can deal with according to changing the plan as it is laid out within the plan. There has to be a beginning, and giving it back to committee over and over and over is not a beginning. It's a round and round, and it makes no sense.
There's nobody. There's one more that would like to say something.
No. Oh, Ms. Bureau.
Hello, Muriel Laws, 26253 Poplar Glen Drive. I know you tell everyone not to come and repeat things.
Go ahead, Miss Muriel.
But
you got the floor.
I have to, because
Did you say where you were from?
Yep.
Yeah. My bad. Keep going.
I was here when they first implemented the work group. And now here we are, almost September. In federal land, it will be almost the end of the fiscal year. Then we enter the holidays, and then we'll be into a new year. I strongly agree with everything that everyone has been saying, that we need something tangible, even if we have a plan just highlighted on where you are. You understand what I'm saying? Show us something as constituents, as being good stewards of our of our tax dollars. Show us something. Even if your team comes and say, hey, we're at A, B, C, and D, and we're planning by the end of the fiscal year to be at D. Show us something. Because right now, according to Ms. Sellers, and that is an agreement, people are tired of inaction. You gotta show them something. Something has to be done, because the people that are most affected are the ones that are horribly right now disingenuous with this council.
All right, we're just going to take, are you finished, Ms. Monroe? Thank you very much for that information.
Yes.
We're just going to take one more, and then we're going to move on.
I just wanted to follow up just really quickly. I'm not sure if everyone in attendance and everyone watching wherever they may be watching realizes there has already been a master plan committee. We have a member of the original master plan committee in-house this evening. And although these new guys are doing a great job, this is not what we need. We need an implementation of an ordinance tonight, and then we move forward.
So, I need to it's just an introduction, but can I ask Mr. Chris one question?
Well, sure you can.
So, Mr. Chris, if we introduce this tonight as written, to introduce it by ordinance and then there, will it be legal for us to work it over as we want to go? That's the only question.
Sure.
I mean, we're not going to have to stick to this thing that's written.
Definitely not.
I know it says in it, but it's just the idea that, because the people are going to go, well, they implemented the plan and they're not sticking to it.
Right, this doesn't impose any land use regulations in and of itself.
We'd have to come up with different
Right.
ordinances and like
It sort of
yeah.
sets forth a framework for what the parish needs are, and they've been identified. And just one of
All
those
I need
needs
is-
are zoning, others are roads, you know.
Right.
So they spend a lot of time saying, what's this parish gonna need in the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years? Where's the growth going, where's it been, here's where it is, here's what we recommend you start. So it's just kind of a framework is how I look at it.
So Chris, if we adopt it by ordinance and say this is gonna be the roadmap we kind of utilize, if our land use goes outside of what this roadmap is, we decide that we want to do something a little different, is that a violation of the ordinance if we don't follow this plan to the?
No, it wouldn't be, because it doesn't have any real teeth until
Until the ordinance is written.
Until the zoning ordinance is written. That's the gorilla in the room.
Right,
obviously.
right, right.
Okay.
I mean, that's
So
what this
until
was
the
all
zoning
about.
ordinance is written,
It's just
and the
a
maps are done. So, and you know, a lot of people's fears will be alleviated at that time, because that's when the real sausage is made, and when the zoning maps are made. So if one district or one subdivision wants to come in and argue, I don't want anybody to tell me what goes in what I can do in my property, well, then you come to that meeting and say, don't zone us, make it unrestricted. Other places want full restriction. We want this to be residential. We don't want this to be industrial. So that's where the real fight will be. But no one has wanted to even get started with the fight, because it all was kind of
I'm ready to
was
start the
tainted with a
fight.
bad name. That this master plan is some kind of motive for zoning the whole parish, and that's what a lot of fear stopped the former council from getting this done.
Call the question. Let's do it.
Call for the question. Mr. Bubba's not finished.
Oh,
We'll
my
call the
goodness.
question.
Go ahead, Mr. Bubba.
Well, I'm gonna go back to the old man that Scooter calls him.
That's true.
Back in the 80s, most of y'all weren't even here. Yeah. We tried back then to have planning and zoning, and we worked and worked and worked. But we got beat down.
Y'all got fired.
Not by the, yeah. No, I didn't get fired that time.
Okay.
But I hate to say it like this, but there was so much development going on in the parish back then. The realtors is the ones that actually got with the people and killed it.
Are you sure?
Okay.
He was in high school.
He was in high school, like the rest of them.
Order.
Appreciate that.
If that had,
Okay.
if that had gone through at that time, we wouldn't be having this discussion.
This whole parish would have been different. That's right.
The vibe that is kind
Yeah,
of
let's
giving
put it
up
down,
to the
please.
master plan and the old deal, but I mean, to me, they complement each other. You're gonna kind of take the old deal, from 12 or 13 or whatever, you kind of use it to kind of.
7 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I say from the year 12 or 13, that's, is that what it was? Yeah. So,
Come on, let's get
use
on.
that because it goes, so yeah, go ahead, Scooter, you up.
Yeah, I call a question. Let's vote on it.
I forgot about who made the motion and everything. Did we
I
write
think
that down?
everybody did, didn't
Tracy, Burlington.
Tracy and Bubba.
Bubba second.
they? Stay tuned,
All right.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
better.
you better call.
All right, I call for the vote.
Mr. Ard,
Yes.
Mr. King,
Yes.
Mr. Girlinghouse.
Yes.
Mr. Talbot.
Yes.
Mr. Mack.
Yes.
Mr. LaBelle.
Yeah.
Mr. Harris.
Yes.
Mr. Avery.
Yes.
What? All right, guys, ready to go. Now our work begins, guys. This is.
Yes, my group over there.
We don't need a public
Well,
hearing.
that was the something, so
They told in the room,
I
that's what I'm
need
talking
to
about.
set the public hearing.
Set the public
by
hearing.
a number.
Okay. So what are you saying here, Sandy?
You want, Tracy, you want to do it 2 weeks? Y'all want to do it 4 weeks?
Scooter messes all up calling for the vote. So what we need to do, we need to read the ordinance, and then we need to call for the public hearing.
What do you?
Does 26th, is
Set
it
the
the
public hearing.
26th of September?
I have it for the 12th. You don't want it for the 12th?
26th.
You want it for the 26th?
I think some of the council members probably need to spend a little time reading some of the stuff that
And
they
then get
have
a few
read.
calls, and they need to answer the
I think
questions
they need
to the
to,
people.
I think 2 weeks is a lot.
tight.
I'm gonna tell you what, I've read tons of it, I haven't read all of it.
Okay.
So I think that given that this, I think 4 weeks is.
You know what? I think that's a good idea. Let's roll with it. No more discussion. Rock on, Sandy.
Okay.
You good with that?
I'm okay with that.
Proposed ordinance 19-27, this is an ordinance to amend Article 1 in general of Chapter 2, Administration of Code Ordinances of Livingston Parish by adding Section 2-26, the Livingston Parish Comprehensive Master Plan entitled Envision Livingston by establishing a comprehensive master plan in and for the parish of Livingston. The public hearing will be on September 26th, at 6:30 p.m. And I just want to say, Mr. Moody did have a chance to kind of
Yeah, I did.
review it. So that was important to me. Thank you.
Good job, Sandy. Way to keep us all straight. Agenda item 19, discuss alternatives to a three-way stop at Woodland Trail and Oakway Drive intersection located in Council District 2. Gary Talbot.
Okay, so I was approached a while back about putting a stop sign at Oakway and Woodland Trail. There are 22 homes in this little development. 2 driveways on Oakway, except Oakway, where Oakway comes in is kind of a little curve on a long straightaway street. Y'all don't have that. I've got y'all don't have the map. I'm sorry I don't have it. Anyway, typically what I've done in the past is if a HOA contacted about a stop sign or speed limit thing, then I just did it based on representing the HOA. If an individual wanted to do it for a particular thing, we kind of asked them to get a significant number of signatures, more than 50% or whatever. They actually got signatures on 16 of the 22 residents. But when you go out and look at it, you realize this stop sign is on the busy road, and the people off the 2 driveways don't stop coming in. And so I was kind of concerned, so I did some research on the manual of uniform traffic control devices. And if you go look at stop signs, that's not where a stop sign goes. If you follow what the recommendations are, you don't put a stop sign. Because, it doesn't meet any of the requirements that would justify putting a stop sign there. So I go back and I read the email again, and the issue is speeding and a danger because of it's in a curve or whatever. So I started doing some more research, and our neighbors to the east, or our neighbors to the west, have a residential traffic calming manual. It's a whole manual based on what you do in particular situations to, slow traffic down or whatever. So what I would like to do is, we don't have that. We don't have a procedure, we don't have whatever. But what I'd like to do is pass a resolution to ask the administration to have the parish engineer evaluate that particular intersection and the speed on the street, and see if that place would be appropriate for a flashing speed limit sign that identified when you were exceeding the speed limit, whether it be a speed hump, what would be the best traffic calming device at that particular location. Because the residents there obviously want something done to create, to slow people down in that particular situation. But what they've asked for, a stop sign, is definitely, if you read the rules, not what needs to happen. So that's what I'd like to do, is introduce a resolution to ask the administration to do that little study and see if they have some recommendations other than a stop sign to slow people down at that particular intersection. So that's what I'd like to introduce.
You offering that?
I'm offering that up if I can get a second.
Okay, so we got a motion on the floor. Take care of yourself. man, I guess, allow the parish administration
to
hire
ask-
an engineer to do a study
Well, I mean,
for an alternative.
Yeah, ask the administration
idea.
to have Fort DeBlata, who's our parish engineer, just
Yeah.
evaluate the intersection, see if there's an appropriate traffic calming device that can be put there, you know, other than a stop sign.
Okay, that's the motion by Gary Talbot, second by Bubba Harris. Any discussion from the audience? Any more discussion from the council? All in favor? Aye.
Too late.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see your hand come up.
He can tell us.
Come on up, buddy.
So I was the one that did the petition.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So the reason is people fly down the street 60 miles an hour. I got a security camera. You can't even catch them. Talked to sheriff's department, did everything they told me to do, and then I was calling Gary. So from here, I don't know what else to do. And it's kids.
We're gonna
My
figure out
son,
something.
in particular, was almost hit.
You know, I've been supposed to get that speed hump ordinance written for about 3 or 4 months. I'm still working
So
on
is
that.
you.
14 months.
Well,
No,
and to be honest with you, I mean, I did the research into what you said. I got the thing, and then I didn't move forward. And I apologize.
No, that's fine.
but
But what confuses me about the whole stop sign thing that you sent me is, if anybody in here know Crestwood subdivision? Have you ever drove through there?
Oh yeah.
You see 5 stop signs back to back, 3 houses on the cul-de-sac?
Oh, I don't disagree that if the administration comes back and says that there are no traffic calming devices that'll work there,
Yeah.
then I don't have a problem with asking for a stop sign. I just think given that particular situation, if you read what a stop sign is being used for, that's
Right.
really not the best alternative. So I would like to look for an alternative that's more effective, and if it doesn't work, then I'll definitely not have it.
You know, and I will say there is a view issue there. I know in the email that you sent, it said that there wasn't a view issue. If you look at my driveway, I'm the first house on the left. When I park all my vehicles in the driveway, you cannot see down the street.
I got you.
I have a 350, you will not see down the street.
Well, and so let's let the administration, I mean, I understand your concern, and I want to correct it.
Okay.
I would like to know before we put a stop sign there. that
No, I
we
mean, I completely
exercise
understand.
all, you know, whether it be a speed hump or whether it be a speed limit sign that flashes when you're exceeding it. You know, let the administration tell us, and if none of that works, then I'm all. If they don't think any of that thing will do what we need to do, then fine, we'll move forward once you're at it.
Well, I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you,
Sir?
Mr. Gary. I look forward to hearing from you.
All right, thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
Mr. Gary.
Appreciate it very much. Is there somebody else that would like to talk about this? Really?
I gotta see that face. That face.
I just said it was on his shirt.
I wanted to ask you a question, because you mentioned that you was working on an ordinance for.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
So I really want to know, what is the estimated time of completion on that? Because there are a lot of people with the same similar issue throughout these subdivisions, and people are getting hit, people are speeding. That speed bump will be in
It's coming.
Shane, you want me?
This
4
year?
weeks.
Want me to draw it up for you?
4 weeks,
We're going to introduce
It's a
it 4
bump.
weeks from today.
and it'll be parish-wide,
Well, now it has to be introduced, and then you have to vote on it and to adopt it.
right? But you're going to draft it as a parish-wide?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Of all
okay.
the-
Because what I was hearing was about your area, but it's
Oh, no,
everywhere.
no.
Okay.
I'm just asking in this particular situation.
Right, right.
You know, typically we just put a stop sign up. I just think, given what I talked to with some traffic engineers, they don't feel it's appropriate. They think there are other measures that work better. So I can't, as a councilman, say, go out and put a speed hump there, or go out and put a flashing, speed limit sign. What we're gonna do is ask the administration to evaluate it and make a recommendation. If they
think that's
choose
the
not
best
to
way to
do
do
that,
this.
then we might just go put a stop sign up. But I think we're
Right.
gonna try to get a proper evaluation.
I appreciate that,
A
because
lot
it
of
is,
subdivision roads, dead-end roads, we need
yeah,
some
not
more
even
check
dead
points
end
on
roads,
that.
just roads from start to finish.
Yeah.
People are going 50 miles per hour, so.
They call me all
I
the
have
time.
one,
Go ahead, Mr. Bubba, go ahead. Go ahead,
they
Mr.
have,
Bubba.
there's one thing about speed humps or speed bumps or whatever you like to call it. Who's gonna be liable whenever a car hits that thing and runs off
You're not liable.
and hurts somebody?
Well,
We're not liable. It's
Is
the
it
person,
HOA?
Now.
no, it's the
who-
person that's that's behind the wheel that's
Right,
not driving
exactly.
per the current law. If we post signs before and after the signs, the humps, we'll be fine. There's no liability there.
Yeah.
I guess that could be argued in the court of law.
Yeah, you
There's
can
liability
always
there,
get
but-
sued,
but
right,
we-
Chris?
We'll be fine.
Chris
Right,
says
we're
you
gonna
can
be good.
always be sued.
I
All right, let's
appreciate
move on.
that. Thank
Let's
you.
move on. We've already voted on that. Thank you very much.
All right.
Okay, agenda item number 20.
We didn't vote.
Oh, we did, didn't we?
Yep,
Did we vote? We didn't vote.
thought you did.
I
No,
thought,
we
yeah, we
voted.
did. We voted right before.
voted.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. See, I was right that time.
Hey,
We're gonna,
it can happen.
Okay,
There was no objection, right?
right.
It was
It was one of
unanimous.
those all in favors.
I didn't vote,
Yeah, you would left. That's right.
but I
Let's get you.
All right.
Okay.
We're gonna table for you.
Well, how you handle that? He walked away when we voted.
Well, it'd just be as non-voting.
Yeah, no vote.
He's just coming out.
Is that on you?
Okay, number 20.
We're gonna table it.
We're tabling 20.
We're gonna postpone it 2 weeks. We're gonna defer it 2 weeks. Defer it 2 weeks.
We're gonna defer it 2 weeks.
Table me until you bring it back up again.
Number 20.
Okay.
21, adopt a resolution to add all roads located within Lakeside subdivision for consideration to be included on the capital outlay priority road list. Jeff Avery.
Grand Lake Boulevard, Lake Bourne, Lake Salvador Drive, Lake Sabine Drive, Lake Larry Drive, Lake Ruin Drive, Lake Biscayne Drive, Black Lake Avenue, White Lake Avenue, and Cross Lake Avenue.
It's an awful lot of roads.
Just,
Yeah.
Push your whole district in there.
I think it'll be about Lake Bourne or
You
something.
go out with a bang.
I just want to add them to the road list.
No.
You know, to the
Okay.
Priority road list.
priority
All right.
road list.
While we're
That's a
doing,
motion to,
while we're doing it, does anybody else got anything they need to add to priority road list? We can do them all at the same time.
I don't ever get any done in my district.
right now,
Well, go ahead and put it on there.
the, Homer Harris Road.
Oh, there you go with all the Harris roads again.
Hey, look, you don't have to do Harris, what do you do?
Oh, James Casey.
okay, is there any discussion from the audience on
Hold on,
this?
Mr. James wants to comment on that.
James got one to put on there.
Once again, I'm gonna ask, are all of the roads in this list up to the standards that they're required to be in order to be brought
These
into
are
the-
already public parish roads.
These
He's
are
just
already-
putting them on the list.
These are
to be
already roads,
considered.
these roads are already in the maintenance system. We're just putting them on the priority road list to be evaluated. They cannot be overlaid till they've been evaluated.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
from past experience, we don't put none on there that don't meet the criteria.
Well, it's
I ain't
just
looking
like-
at anybody in particular.
It's
I'm
just
sorry,
like,
man.
Harris Road, they have them go in there now and take the asphalt up, and put limestone down, just so the people can go in and out. That's the reason I put it on the list.
So they got major base failures in there.
Right.
So it needs to be fixed eventually.
Oh, yeah.
It's just gotta get scored and everything.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor by Jeff Avery
Second by
to
Bubba Harris.
consider, to adopt this resolution, actually to adopt this resolution to add these roads to the priority road list for consideration to be overlaid. Sandy, do you have anything you'd like to add to that?
I do. We worked with, Billy Taylor,
Yeah.
our,
Very
road engineer,
Yes, ma'am?
and, to update our list as the auditor likes it to look.
Yep.
Because the list was getting,
So do we need to adopt this amended?
so this is how the list looks. You're gonna have your priority road list, and it's about how they're ranked. We're adding, Jeff Averett's roads for consideration. They're
That's
not,
right.
and we're gonna add Councilman Harris's on there and put the District 5 on Harris. Now, what we did, we shouldn't have done this, but we have the priority rank for the consideration. That should really say TBS to be scored.
Correct.
Because we don't score anything, that's done by the.
Oh, y'all just kept the numbers running and,
It should say
that's okay.
all these right here for the consideration.
what did we have,
That's right.
12?
We're doing
So,
17.
the ones that are
17.
scored are the
Yeah.
ones that are on the priority list.
James,
So,
Okay.
I know that should be amended.
before we do any roads, the engineering firm has to go and score these roads.
And that's how they, yeah, but anyway, that's how they're listed.
Let's talk to Jeff.
I know that's how it's supposed to work tonight.
Well, that's how it works.
Okay, let's move on here. So we got a motion on the floor by Jeff Everett. Is there a second? Got a second by Tab Lobel. Any more discussion from the audience? Any more serious discussion from the audience?
Harris was the second.
Harris was the second? Harris seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right.
No, we didn't. That's just how it's gonna look now.
Number 22. This is a resolution to authorize a resident to reside in a camper at 26331 Oliver Wheat Road for a period of 1 year from the date beginning new home construction. Tab Lobel.
Lady bought a piece of property on Oliver Wheat, wants to start building her house, she wants to sell her house first. She don't want to rent an apartment, she wants to give that money away, so she's, wanting to live in that camper on that piece of property behind her son's piece of property.
All right.
So, I appreciate the fact that she called and asked.
Yep, that is very nice.
So, I'd like to make that motion.
Tab makes a motion for a resolution to authorize the resident to reside in a camper at that said address on Oliver Wheat Road. Second by Jeff Avery. Any discussion from the audience? Come on up.
So you're giving them a 1 year permit?
Yeah. 1 year from the time they start construction.
Of course, she's.
Okay.
Oh, thank you.
They doing a lot of the work themselves, her and her husband, so she said, 8 or 9 months, I said, out of the year, so.
If at that time they don't finish, then they'd have to come back to you, well, somebody, you ain't gonna be here to help them.
You'd have to extend it or whatever. Ma'am, can you go?
Taryn Creekbaum, I live in District 1. Tonight, you are considering authorizing a waiver to what law? What adopted ordinance? If there is no standing law or ordinance that the placement of the camper would be in violation to, then there is no reason for this to be a legitimate agenda item. It should also be noted that on agenda items 11, 20, 21, and 24, the request involves an adopted resolution. However, on this item, it is just a resolution. I would also ask you, what is the difference in an adopted resolution and just a resolution? The fact is, a resolution is just a wish. To give this request any time at a meeting of this council is sending the message that any citizen can come before you and ask for your best wishes on anything. That is a waste of my time and taxpayer dollars. One can only assume this request is before you because it did not meet the requirements of the permit department, or that the emergency ordinance that was established after the 2016 flood, specifically at the September 8th, 2016 meeting regarding temporary housing during the rebuilding process, has expired. Neither case is cause to grant this waiver. I am requesting that this council deny this waiver. Thank you.
I'd like to answer one question. There's a current ordinance that says that you're not allowed to live in a camper outside of a designated campground for a certain amount of time. And so what this resolution is to grant this waiver to allow this lady to live inside this camper trailer while she's building her house. Okay, so
Based
Hey,
on
I
that,
just give for a little hit. I got a place in my district where a family moved 2 campers in
Yep.
and plugged them into outlets that existed already. They didn't get a permit. They didn't have to do anything. They just rolled 2 campers in the backyard and plugged them in. You can ask Mr. Moody, because we've talked to our compliance officer. It takes a long time to get people out. So this situation that Mr. Lobel is working on here to create a start-finish period is a way better deal than to have them just get a meter pole up, roll a camper in there and plug it up, and then have to have you take the legal process to get them out. I mean, it's ideally that you don't live in there, but to be honest with you, once you violate the law and establish a residence there, it is a process to get it undone. And I think Mr. Moody would concur with me that a negotiated start-in date is way better than trying to go enforce the ordinance after the fact. Am I?
Right, yeah, I think the motion's appropriate. There should be some reasons you give people excuses to violate your ordinance in place, because especially if it's for a short period of time for valid reasons.
Yep.
So,
There are advantages to living there when you build your house. I mean, I did it on my property.
Oh, yeah, there. When you get home, you can go right to,
You right there.
right to work.
I'm all for it.
When people remodel their house, that may be an option for them also, for a small amount of time. Does anybody else like to say something about this agenda item? Mr. James, come on up.
Is it appropriate to use his first name?
You've been to the podium many times.
I would just have to say that what I'm hearing, or my perception of what I'm hearing, is essentially that this request is going to be approved because approving this is the easy thing to do. That actually trying to make people adhere to our code of ordinances would be more difficult. I'm not so sure that that's the way I would like to see the council go. It's sometimes doing the right thing isn't easy.
Well,
I don't think that we're taking the easy way out here.
Wait, Mr. Camp.
Let's just one at a time respond to this, please. Who wants to go first? Tracy wants to go first.
I will say that I sometimes doing what you say, sometimes doing the
Easy thing?
The easy thing is, usually doing the easy thing, doing the right thing is never a lot of times isn't easy. In this particular case, allowing to give a waiver against the standing ordinance, you have to take into account what was the purpose behind the ordinance. Are you following the spirit of the ordinance, or are you following the letter of the rule of the ordinance? Sometimes when you give a waiver, I like Mr. Talbot said when he got in here. When I first did, I said, I'll never give a waiver. Never. Well,
I think we
and then you realize sometimes waivers are the right thing to do. Now, I know Ms. Greenbaum agrees, disagrees, but she's standing shaking her head. And I get that. I get that idea. I do. But in this case, if he does it the other way, they go plug in, they establish residency. Now we have to basically sue them, bring them to court, which costs money that we wouldn't have had to spend. And then you have all the people saying, well, you're wasting money now doing something when you could have just gave a waiver and never had to do that. It's a catch-22. In this particular case, she followed the rules, and you have,
and I'm willing to,
and I am too, in that particular case.
And some would say we just need to get rid of every single law if we ever gonna give a waiver on it, which is totally ridiculous.
That's part of what we do. You gotta look at the totality.
We gotta have laws for a civilized society to exist.
What's wrong with helping people?
I think that's a great idea, Jeff.
It's something we're forgetting about a lot of times, is helping people.
We don't forget about it. We try to do it.
We try to help people.
Absolutely.
Amen.
That's just my opinion.
I like that. So is there anybody else that would like to say anything about this particular agenda item? We're gonna take two more people, and then we're gonna move on to another agenda item. Come on up. Yes. In the nice white dress, cream color.
Thank you. Taryn Creekbomb, District 1. This isn't a prepared statement, but it is a follow-up to the observation of your comments. I like to just cut to the chase and make it simple terms. What is happening here is we have a citizen who has called to let you know ahead of time that she's going to be breaking the law. And you have rewarded her by giving her permission to do that. That's ludicrous. That is exactly what has happened. I mean, if she knows it's against our parish ordinances, which I might add, at the time you author them, that is when the spirit is taken into consideration. But once they become law, they are followed by the letter of the law. So it's clear. I asked you on the agenda. It was not clear that she was breaking a law. That's why I said we're giving her a resolution, just best wishes to do this, because you didn't state what law is being broken.
I don't know.
I don't know.
But I did answer the question after you walked away
Okay.
from the podium.
So that is troublesome. That is troublesome. If you don't even know which law your constituent is asking to break, or she's just calling and asking for permission to do something, why was that on this council?
I didn't actually give the actual number because my memory's not that good.
Okay,
I
but
did
on an
quote
agenda.
what the law stated.
Okay,
And she's
but
asking for a
this is an
variance for that
official
particular-
meeting of the parish council. I get a copy of that agenda previously, as do a lot of other citizens. I come here to speak, or I watch. I've been watching y'all on TV for many years on the agenda items as they are written. That one didn't have a waiver to LPO, whatever. That's unacceptable. That is unacceptable. So it appears that a constituent has graciously called ahead and said, hey, councilman, I'm fixing to break the law. Do I have your best wishes to do that?
She didn't
That's
say
in
she was. She requested
She says, this is what I'm going to do.
temporary residence so that she could build her house. That's
What
she
took
did.
place? Did she not make a phone call ahead of time to let you know that she will not be complying with an ordinance? Simple yes or no? Yes. That is what she's doing.
No. She's asking for approval. There's a totally
Oh
difference
my
than
gosh.
just going and breaking the law. Look,
Okay, so I'll just end it. I think this should, at a minimum, be deferred, tabled, until it can be presented on the agenda in the proper way. Regarding, it should state the law that you are wavering. You are granting a waiver to. That should be stated
hear
so
your
that
point.
we
Is there
can.
anything
Okay,
else
thank
to
you.
add? Is it properly described on the current agenda, Mr. Moody?
Well, it would certainly be better if we'd said ordinance number, whatever. But I think anybody reading this can see that what she's asking for.
Not anybody.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so,
Just say,
James, let James in it. You
come
said
on,
two,
Mr.
and
James.
that was it. Hey, in the future, say it. In the future,
I've spoken a number of times when it comes to
I can't hear
waiver.
what he's saying here.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Mr. James, speak up a
I
little
said,
bit.
I've came before this council and spoken a number of times, countless times, with regard to my feelings and what I believe is the proper course of action when it comes to what you guys routinely solve by issuing waivers. That is that if you've got an ordinance that is too restrictive, or you believe that a situation should be accommodated, the proper course of action is for the legislative body of our parish government to come together and amend that ordinance so that it's not too restrictive. The practice of issuing a waiver to this individual or to that individual, while all these other individuals back here have to abide by the law as it's written, is discriminatory at a minimum. If the ordinance is too restrictive, amend it. Add a clause that says, under this situation, we're gonna issue a 1-year permit. There, you fixed it. But continuing over and over and over throughout our history to issue a waiver for this or that or the other thing is, we're just in the waiver business here, folks. You know, fix it. Then you don't have to even talk about these things. It'll be in the ordinances, it's taken care of, and everybody can find themselves in the same situation and not have to come hunt you down. You know, you got enough to do.
I have
Okay.
something to say to that, Shane.
Okay,
I'm
go ahead,
sorry.
Tracy.
The problem with that scenario is there are literally thousands of different scenarios that require a waiver. If you change the ordinance to address this one, I promise you there's gonna be a different one that has a different twist on it. Not all waivers are created equal. You know, so you can't, it's not that cookie cutter and cut and dry. And I
Moving
call the
on.
question.
We're moving on past this agenda item. Okay, so we have a call for the question. There was a motion on the floor by Tab Lobel. There was a second by Jeff Averett. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Took a chance, huh?
Yeah, it did. Agenda item number 23. This is board resignation and reappointments. Livingston Parish Communication District Board, 911 Board, Mr. Jeff Ard.
Yes, I need to reappoint Mr. Joey Sibley for the District 1 to the 911 Board. Mr. Joey kind of had a short term. He's put in place to take Mr. Darrell Jones' place when he passed away.
That's Joey from Livingston.
Joey Sibley from Livingston. Just actually give him a full term. So I'll make that motion.
Okay, we got a motion on the floor to appoint Mr. Joey Sibley by Jeff Ard to this communication board, second by Tracy Gurlinghouse. Anybody from the audience have anything to say about this? Anybody from the council? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No. 23B. 23B. Okay, now this 23B is the Recreation District number 5 South. This is Tab Lobel.
Hey, Ronnie Lambert, been a great board member, done a whole bunch of work on there. Spent a lot of hours at Coolio Ballpark. His girl's kind of getting out of it, growing out of it. So he's ready to go to the deer camp. So he's stepped down. So, but yeah, he was on there for 5 years. Cole Myers is just coming into that stage. Good guy. So he's ready to roll.
All right.
I'll appoint Cole Myers as village fire.
Okay, so there's a motion on the floor by Tab Lobel to appoint Cole Myers. And can we do this in one swing here? Remove Ronnie Lambert, accept his resignation letter. Okay, this is the motion. To accept Ronnie Lambert's resignation letter on Recreation District 5 South and to appoint Cole Myers to this same said Recreation District. Okay, any discussion from the audience? Any from the council? We had a motion, right? We had a second by Jeff Averett. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Agenda item number 24. Discussion and adoption of a resolution to authorize a waiver and a variance for LP 19-03 adopted on January 24th. This is subsurface drainage. Is there anything on this? It's not?
No, I don't think. No, the subsurface isn't on it. We don't have anything on it. That's a standing item. We do have something on 26.
Five. Okay. Nothing on agenda item 24. Actually, grant a waiver for. Agenda item number 25. Request for a waiver intended for the allowance of permitting due.
It's a standing item. We didn't have anything.
And we didn't actually have anything.
Nobody
to
asked
grant a
for
waiver for.
anything.
Request for a waiver intended for allowance of permitting due to the restrictions of LP number 17-22, section 13-46.1, prohibitions and restrictions of use for mobile home manufactured homes to be placed in the main subdivision for the intent of on-site custom-built single-family homes. 25. What do we have on 25?
Juniper Street, Madison
We've
Way.
got Tracy, is that yours?
Yes.
All right.
I had an attorney contact me, wanted to, they had an individual who owns the property there, wanted to sell the property for someone to put a trailer in. Now, I'll be honest with you, I didn't realize this was an actual named neighborhood. I just thought it was like a couple of streets that connected together. It's at the end of Lockhart, where his Burgess.
Yeah.
There are
So I
trailers.
think half that street
say,
is
it looks
already
like there's
trailers.
trailers
It's all
in there.
trailers, that's good.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta elaborate.
So she told me it was, I was like, wait, half the people on that street already have trailers, so, yeah,
Fits.
so
You want to make a motion?
Make a motion.
To grant this waiver?
Grant this waiver.
To allow this trailer to be placed
Yes.
at 11281 Jupiter Street.
correct, Junior.
I'm sorry. Does anybody from the audience want to talk about this real quickly? Come on up, Ms. Creekbaum. If at all possible, let's try to get it to 3 minutes.
This is what I came prepared for,
Okay.
this particular agenda item.
Okay.
Taryn Creekbaum, I live in District 1. My first opposition to this agenda item has to do with public notice. This appears to be a standing verbiage that is placed on the agenda when there is a request. There are no details of who made the request or the location of the property that will not be in compliance with the law should this waiver be granted. This is crucial information for those who will be affected by the waiver. I find it confusing that on agenda item 13 regarding the adoption of LPO 19-25, you feel it is necessary to notify potential property owners that their sewer system will entail pump grinder maintenance responsibilities. Yet, you do not think those same potential turned real property owners need to know that a neighboring property is asking to not comply with a law that will directly affect their ownership value of their property. And if I may paraphrase Mr. Talbert from the last meeting, my people have a right to know what is going on this property. I agree with you, Mr. Talbert. That is the first reason you should deny and table this request until the proper public notification can be made. Since there were no details on the public agenda, I requested the details from the council clerk's office. I was emailed what looks like a drone picture of the neighborhood with the particular location of the mobile home noted in red. I was also given the name of the requester and the municipal address of the lot. With that information, I Googled the address and it brought me to a current MLS listing that shows this property for sale and marked pending. To confirm the current owner's name, I searched the documents attached to the listing for the ownership. There was none. Because I am a licensed realtor, I contacted the listing realtor to request these documents. She told me she would look into it. As of this time, I have not heard back from her. I would ask, does this council expect every citizen to do the research like I have done on any agenda item that is vague? Back to my research efforts. Even though my research did reveal that this specific property is an active, pending real estate transaction, it did not reveal who the current owner is. Assuming that Ms. Mayu is the current owner, I am asking that this request be denied, since it is a fact that personal property rights, specifically waivers, are granted to the legal owner. and waivers or permission to break the law cannot be transferred with the property. The current owner cannot ask for a waiver for the new owner. That is the second reason you should deny this request. Assuming that Ms. Mayu is the buyer, prospective property owner, I am asking that this request be denied. The buyer has no ownership rights in this property that afford her the benefit of requesting a waiver. This council cannot grant someone permission to break the law before it is a reality. That is the third reason you should deny this request. Just a few months back, Mr. Harris brought a similar request for a waiver in Live Oak Acres to the agenda. It was revealed that the property in question was also an active pending real estate transaction. The request for a waiver was made by the current owner to be transferred to the prospective buyer. However, the council denied the request at that meeting. However, at the very next meeting, the request was put back on the agenda by Mr. Talbert. He stated that night that the real estate transaction in Live Oak Acres, Mr. Harris's district, was also attached to 3 other real estate transactions in his district. He said that he believed the waiver request in Live Oak Acres should be granted, because if that sale fell through, the other 3 would fall through as well. This would cause the parish to lose money, the realtors to lose money, as well as the owners of all properties. He also implied that the parish could be sued by the realtors and or the owners because the parish caused all those sales to fall through. The waiver in Live Oak Acres was granted that night. Council members, do any of you realize the Pandora's box that was opened with that waiver? I do. Since when does this council involve themselves in real estate transactions regarding private property between private citizens? Since when is it okay for this council to bargain with my laws, protections, or ordinances during negotiations between private citizens? I will answer that, since never. Your involvement in these real estate transactions has crossed the line. Your seat on this council does not come with a law license or a real estate license. Just as you should not practice law, you should not practice real estate. Both of those areas will get you sued. That is the fourth reason you should deny this waiver request. Your seat on this council gives you license to author, amend, delete, and adopt Livingston Parish ordinances. After adoption, your priority is to support compliance with your legislation. In my opinion, to waive or give a variance to any adopted law should be a rarity and only be considered after all options for compliance have been exhausted. Tonight's agenda is a clear example of your lack of focus on what your priority as a council member is. Your constant adopt, waiver, amend, waiver, adopt, waiver, amend, adopt is disruptive and a waste of taxpayer time and money, and quite frankly, an embarrassment to this parish. As a council member, you must feel frustrated and exhausted with the constant chasing of your tails. I know I am frustrated and exhausted watching it, and that is your reason number 5 to deny this waiver request.
Ms. Creekbaum,
How?
can you kind of wrap this up?
Yes,
real quick?
I've got just a
It's
few
getting
more
kinda
minutes.
late.
I understand. I would ask you to consider this in the coming days. How do you think a neighborhood changes from brick and mortar homes to a neighborhood full of trailers? How do you think your legislation fell from being a valued and enforceable ordinance to a worthless and an unenforceable one? The answer is one waiver at a time. Finally, as an informed constituent, I am respectfully asking you to redirect your focus towards doing the job you were elected to do. Legislate. Get down to the business of creating a credible and effective Livingston Parish Code of Ordinances that will provide for our protections of property value and quality of life in Livingston Parish. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Jeff Averett's got something to say. Mr. Jeff Averett says he calls for the vote.
I'd like to have a question, Mr. Mayor. Does our job tell us, does it allow us to give waivers?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say, I agree with Ms. Creekmom that waivers ought to be rare.
I agree with that too.
And for very
In this
good,
particular
valid
case,
reasons.
over half this neighborhood already had trailers in it.
This ordinance came out of the flood with one trailer being moved into on a lot of a house that had been torn down. The ordinance came out of that. That's what the ordinance. When John introduced it, it was to stop people from putting trailers in place of brick and mortar homes. The reason we are having to address this on ordinance is because the permit department will not on their own determine the intent of a subdivision. Right. And that's why it comes back to us. Now, after a subdivision has received a waiver one time, then the permit office, am I correct, Sandy, will continue to issue trailer permits. But if this is the first trailer permit since the ordinance was put in place in this subdivision, then it has to come before the council. I mean, that's the reason that trust me, it's probably a poorly written ordinance, but we've tried to correct it. We've tried to look at how to word it differently, and ultimately, the responsibility of whether the permit should be issued comes from the permit office back to this council. Is that my correct understanding of what's been going on, Jeff, since we did this?
Yep.
So, I mean, we're not issuing these waivers haphazardly. We have basically given a directive to the permit office, and they won't do it unless we do it. So I think Jeff called for the question, so.
What does that specifically mean, Mr. Moody, when he calls for the question? That means it's time to vote, no more discussion?
Well, it means, it's a short version of saying I move the previous question, which means I move that we end discussion and call for the vote. And if there's any objection to that, then you have a vote on the motion for previous question. But typically, there's not an objection. So if someone calls for the question, that means I'm calling for the vote.
Is there any objection to his call for the question that we end the discussion on this particular agenda item? No? Okay, let's vote.
Thank you.
All right, so we got a motion on the floor. Did we have a motion on the floor? Tracy Gerlinghouse to accept this waiver?
Yes.
We have a second on the floor. Right now, is there a second?
I don't
Does
think
anybody
there,
want to
no,
make a
nobody
second?
called a second a while ago. I'll second.
Okay. Jeff R. called for a second. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so agenda item number 26, District Attorney report.
No report.
No report from the District Attorney.
No, surprise, surprise.
Things must be going really, really good.
It's really, really late is what it is.
Okay, ordinance committee, Gary, did you want to say anything on that?
We did not meet this week. We are going to meet next Thursday, the next time we gather together, which will be September 12th. And we're gonna have a presentation from the gentleman, Mr. John Singleton, about the noise ordinance.
All right.
And if you have something.
I promise I'm gonna go to work on that hump ordinance.
If you have something on the speed hump deal, then we'll put that on the agenda.
I'm gonna work on that.
I think they already got a hump ordinance in place.
Okay, finance committee.
Sorry, Mr. King threw me off there. No, nothing to report. We did not meet today. We will be meeting in 2 weeks. At that time, we'll give you a report on the.
All right.
But I hear
Councilman
somebody
comments. Councilman comments.
I heard somebody running against me wants to
Oh, wait,
legalize that.
seriously. Let's quiet it down. Jeff, go ahead and say something.
I do want to say that, me and Mr. Grevenhouse was part of the Baby River cleanup. I wish y'all could have seen the trash that people pulled out on their own, with their time, with their boats, their gas. Meaning they weren't going around picking up Coke cans. They were bringing out refrigerators, boats. I mean, it was unbelievable the amount of trash.
I just want to see Tracy with dirty hands.
So I want to commend everybody for that. And on the second note, the East Bank Little League team won 10-0 tonight, and they're in the Final Four.
All right.
Nice. How about some positive news, huh?
I like it.
Okay, anybody else
Get to
want
watch
anything? Anybody else?
No.
Okay, so
Thursday night, on the 12th, we got the border review. It's gonna meet at 5. So the
Okay.
ordinance will be
Here?
immediately following
Is
the
that
border
audit
review.
thing?
Okay.
We don't have any protests yet, but we may.
So technically, it's gonna be border review at 5.
Oh, that's from
Immediately
the other
following will be ordinance. Ordinance gotta be done by
No, nobody-
6:15. So y'all can have 5.
All right, so there's a motion on the floor by Jeff Averett to adjourn. Is there a second by Jeff Ard? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
No.